Today on the Real Fan Review, we're talking about that Fox Disney merger, the new John Wick 3 trailer, and we're getting our March Madness on with these movies. Welcome to the Real Fan Review. Welcome back to the Real Fan Review. We're here with Hav, Sanj, Al, and B. We're back again trying to make it happen.
All right, people, what's up?
Hello.
What's going on, everybody?
This is episode 2 for us. It's a big deal because usually episode 1 happens and then that's it. But we're back and we're glad we have a good plan for today. Like I said in the beginning, we're going to be talking about that Fox Disney merger that happened on Wednesday, I believe.
Ooh, finally.
Yeah, man, I've been waiting for that one to happen.
A good year and a half now.
I keep hearing about that with the Fox, and it's funny because everyone says Fox Disney merger, and all I really hear is X-Men coming back to
That's
the
all
MCU.
anyone hears.
But I digress. Back to the thing. Also what came out this week was the John Wick trailer, which was absolutely nuts, and I think I'm gonna probably piss off a couple of people listening, and maybe even some of the people in this room right now. We're gonna do a little March Madness today, March Madness movie style. I took 64 movies. I went through 3 different things. I went to IMDb and I found the 64 best movies. I went to the top grossing movies and I got 64 of the top grossing movies. And then I put in movies that I like, period. But I figured they were all blockbusters. So I put them all together. I came up with like a ranking of 64 movies. Some people might agree with their ranking. Some people may not. But what I'm going to try to do is figure out what's the real fan, us 4 here, what our favorite movie is out of these 4, and what comes of it. So just to get back to introducing everyone, again, we have my boy Sanj to my right.
Hello, everyone.
Sanj, how's the weekend going? Any movies this week?
Let's see. I did not see any new movies this week. Earlier today, I was just watching Fast and Furious movies. They've been on TV. I love the Fast and Furious movies.
Which one? Which one you saw? The
I
first
saw
one?
4 and 5. They
Okay.
were on before. They were just now before you guys came. So I was just watching them. I mean, just the Fast and Furious is just what it is. Cars, women, speed. Yeah, it's just fun. There's nothing there.
I'm
It's just
convinced
fun.
the last one, which is Fast and Furious 9, is it going to be the last one or the 10?
It's gonna be in space or
Yeah.
It's,
something.
it's in space or they're linking up with the Transformers. One or the other.
I'm okay with that, but that's just it. I'm okay with that.
Dominic Toretto says family.
Oh,
Optimus Prime agrees with Dominic.
That's the only place it could go because I think the new one is going to have like a super villain now.
They got a super villain, yeah.
Oh yeah, what?
Idris Elba.
Yeah.
But then they have the no, but that's a spin-off movie.
It is, yeah. The Hobbs and Shaw, I think.
Yeah, Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
That looks it's going to be entertaining. That
Yeah.
movie I think is going to be very entertaining.
All right. And the man on the computer, or what did the guy in Spider-Man Homecoming say? It was
Man in the chair.
Man in the chair. We got my boy Al. Al, how you been, man?
What's going on, everybody? Just getting over the flu, so you may hear me cough here and there. But this afternoon, actually, I finally caught Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, you did. What do you think of it?
It was cool. I like the animation, the style they went with in terms of the drawing and the animation.
Yeah.
It wasn't too cartoony. They try to make it like a noir type, so to speak, in some.
Yeah.
But the storyline was good. They surprised me by killing Spider-Man off in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, wow.
Spoiler alert! In case.
There you go. After that.
But well, a Spider-Man. There's like 19 Spider-Mans
Yeah.
in this movie, but no, but it was good. I did that this afternoon while I was resting up to make sure I was still good for tonight.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Me, Brandon, and my brother Eric, we ended up seeing that movie and caught me by surprise for an animated movie. 1, 2, a movie that didn't think that was required out there.
Yeah.
And it was actually really, really good. I was really surprised.
That was hilarious, too.
It was just a great Spider-Man
It really
story.
was.
And then it really introduced Miles Morales. Really
Right.
well and tied the story together.
Yeah.
of how he's becomes the Spider-Man and everything. So I thought it was great.
I love the Doc Ock twist.
Yeah, that was
That
cool.
was cool.
That was really cool. I didn't see that coming. And to be honest with you guys, I really didn't know much about Miles Morales besides that he existed. He was in the comic books. I knew he was like a Latino black superhero, which was awesome. But I really didn't know much about him. And for my first entry into Miles Morales, I gotta tell you, after seeing that movie, I would love to see him in the cinematic universe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To my left, my man B.
Hey, what's going on?
Besides your little teeth surgery thing there,
Oh,
how you
yeah.
feeling, man?
You're just putting people's
I'm
business all over.
great.
there.
I spent a whole day on Vicodin. I'm great.
In your state of Vicodin, did you catch any movies or?
Well, I didn't catch anything really. I actually sat on the couch in front of the TV, waiting to turn it on for an hour and a half, and I didn't turn it on once.
So you just stared at a blank screen for 2
stared at
hours.
a blank screen for 2 hours.
Man, that was a good movie.
Vicodin is a hell of a drug.
Oh man. I mean, this week the only thing is, the only movie I saw this week was. Man, I just saw it the other day too. Iron Man 3.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Whoa! Oh wow! Yeah, I mean, I ended up watching it because I'm doing my Avengers Endgame homework, getting ready for the movie. But I gotta say, watching it, expecting everything that's expected. You know,
Expecting it to suck, right?
the Mandarin twist, if you want to call it that. You know, it actually played off pretty well. Everything except
To who?
You're really mad about that movie, huh?
Still mad.
Listen, it wasn't that bad. I think I agree with a lot of people that it really
Is this
wasn't.
on the list?
It's not.
Is this on the
It's
list?
Definitely not. Not one of the 64 movies you have to choose from.
Yeah, Brandon's going in on
Yeah,
this
he's,
one.
he's ready. He's ready. You know, I saw it, and like I said, I can see why everybody's mad. There wasn't a lot of Iron Man scenes, but I guess if you get past the Iron Man in the suit and just take it as no matter what, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. He is Iron Man, not the suit and everything. It kind of plays a little bit
You
better.
work for Marvel. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Narc!
Oh man, you know we need to cut away from this then. Man, but like I said, that's the only movie I got to watch this week. I think on the docket for me this week is gonna be hopefully we can get a chance to see Us, the new Jordan Peele directed movie there. I heard a lot of good things about it, but unfortunately I know we weren't able to catch it this week. I know my schedule was a little crazy, but hopefully we'll catch that this week and give a review for you guys next week. But as far as my Avengers homework, I'm looking to do Captain America Winter Soldier this week, so I'm looking forward to it.
How many movies is it in total so far?
I think 18.
18?
No, I think because Endgame will be 21 or 22 movies. Endgame will be 22 altogether. Let me check my little notes here. Yeah, actually Endgame would be 22.
Okay.
It's insane, actually. You know, while we're at it, hey Al.
Yep.
Our man on the computer. How many minutes or days are we till Avengers Endgame?
And game we have 32 days, 2 hours, 56 minutes, and 52 seconds.
And counting.
Yep.
Woo!
Woo!
And the time's just going by, so let's keep this rolling.
So we've got time. I mean, even like you don't even have to watch a movie a day, and we can get through.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, maybe that could be a topic. Maybe one of these weekends we'll go over some of the Marvel movies and just kind of go over them and everything. But
I've got new thoughts.
there you go.
So, question then.
Go for it.
As far as gearing up for Endgame Part 2, right? If you were gonna watch all the movies to prepare,
Right.
what do you think is a better way to watch them? In the order that they came out in the theater, or the actual chronological order?
Chronological order. But the hardest part is the chronological order is now hard because Captain Marvel will be first.
No.
Should be
no,
second. I'm
no,
sorry. Should be
yeah,
second.
That's what
Should be
I'm
second. I'm sorry.
First
The
Avengers
90s. Sorry.
first, yeah.
So you had Captain America, the first Avenger, but
Yeah.
then Captain Marvel is the second. So
Yeah. Technically, you go to the theaters and watch it real quick.
real quick, yeah. Gotta catch that 9 p.m. show.
I mean, that movie, we've seen it recent enough. We've seen Captain Marvel recently enough so that it's fresh. You know, you don't really
True.
need to like. But I mean, of course, we'll do it. I mean,
But what would you guys say are the most important movies you need to see before you saw Endgame?
you got to start with Captain America,
the first
the
one?
first
or-
Avenger. You got to start with that. Like that.
I think you got to start with Iron Man and Captain America. Those two, because they bring it home. They are home.
I mean, truthfully, this is diverging into a topic now,
Yeah.
but technically, do you need to see Iron Man 1 for it all to make sense?
No, but it's his story.
It's
And
his story.
It's his story, but
But it's not the overarching story. Captain America starts the overarching story.
Well, yeah, I say you do need to see Iron Man because you need the origin story of Iron Man.
where it began.
How he began. Like, so remember that. So, we're going to have all the Avengers and not have their origin story. So, Captain America, the first Avenger, is his origin story. Captain Marvel, she has her origin story. Tony Stark will have his origin story as Iron Man. And then, Thor. Yeah, he was already Thor, but, he got banished and he came back. So, so
I feel like
it-
the Iron
that's-
movies.
you're setting the stage.
Yeah.
We know us. We can talk about the MCU all day long, and this next topic here can kind of be about the MCU, but not. But it's that Fox Disney merger that happened on Wednesday morning.
Finally.
Game changer.
I mean, that's a big game changer in a positive and negative way, in my opinion. But I wanted to get your guys' takes. Al, what you think of that merger? If you were a fan of it or you not? I mean, besides the MCU aspect of it, there's a lot of other movies that are coming into the Disney fold. What's your thoughts on those?
I just like the fact that it does open up all the possibilities without them having to worry about, are we going to be able to get permission, or how do we change the name now they're not mutants? They were giving them a different name. I forgot what they called them because they couldn't call them mutants. I just think I like the fact that it'll open up a lot of the possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think they gave them a name to call the mutants.
I think it was enhanced individuals, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have enhanced individuals on the field. That's
Yeah.
Oh man, and Brandon, what about you? What you think about that Fox Disney deal?
I'm just happy it's done. I mean, I knew it's set in stone once Avatar became a park in Disney, because it's owned by Fox.
Right.
So I was just waiting for it to happen, and now I'm just like, all right, now we gotta wait like 3 years for something to come out of it.
Yeah.
What movie's gonna happen? What are we getting from it? How are you gonna set this off? Because they gotta do it big.
I got you.
Because now that it's happening, it's like you gotta do it big, and I want to see. I'm like, I can't wait now for it to happen.
I got you. Son, what about you? What you thinking on that?
I mean, from a standpoint of economics, I don't necessarily like corporations getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But from a standpoint of the MCU, I think it's great because now it's all of the property is owned under one house, and they can do whatever they want.
Right.
And Marvel Studios has shown they're great at making Marvel movies and putting together the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think it's really. I really would have liked to, from the beginning, had the mutants involved in it and tied along with the story, but of course it wasn't available. But now that's available, so it possibly, like Al was saying, the possibilities of what can happen. Oh my gosh, incredible!
Yeah, I hear you, but you know what? I think one thing that people are not realizing is that with Fox having those rights, Marvel having their rights, and Sony having Spider-Man over there, we were able to get 3 MCU movies, maybe 1 or 2 Fox movies, a Sony movie. Now, if everything's under one roof, are they gonna now put out 4 to 5 movies a year? I don't think so. I think at 3 they're like tight.
Yeah.
So to add like a 4th movie, I don't see it happening.
Remember, all those entities didn't. Nobody downsized anything. All those entities still exist. They're just not all. Well, Sony's not under the same roof. But with Fox and Disney being on the same, Fox still exists. Disney still exists. All of their inner workings, all the people, all the machine work is still there.
Yeah.
So it's just not all that property is. Someone can make a decision and say, "Yeah, let's do this," and it happens. It doesn't have to be 2 different board of directors coming together and negotiating at a table for months. I think it's a possibility for there to be more content. Because you've just cut out a lot of red tape. Like, do we want to do this? Yeah, so let's just do it.
Right.
So now, yeah, I still think they'll put out as many movies, and then maybe we'll even get even more content on the small screen.
Yeah, I mean the Disney Plus streaming service is getting released, and they already have 3 shows planned. The Loki show. I think there's a Valkyrie. I'm not entirely
I
sure.
know Bucky and Falcon.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like maybe that's even more content heading there because Marvel already has shows on Hulu and now no longer Netflix, well soon to be no longer Netflix. So I mean that with them having the Disney Plus streaming service, they can open up more things on that silver screen.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, the one good thing I know that came out of the deal, besides MCU getting everything, is a ton of great movies. I think Deadpool is gonna still be there. He's gonna be doing his own thing. It'll still be Ryan Reynolds. I think they had Avatar come into their fold now, and they got a couple of Fox shows and Fox other stuff there. So, I mean, we'll see how it ends up in the end. I think it's all a plus. Kind of agree with Sanjay. I'm not liking the whole. I don't know how it's not a monopoly, but I guess because there's still maybe 5 or 6 other studios out there, but it's getting pretty close. And then when they all control everything, then it's kind of like, wow, all right, are you going to play fair? Are you going to now make me get your Disney Plus to see what I want to see? Whereas more competition gives you more options, more things.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I said, that's my take on that. I know it's not too positive, but it's not pessimistic either. So thank goodness. Go ahead, son.
At the end of the day, they all want to make money.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they want to do. The companies want to make money, and they realize keep giving the fans what they want, and they'll keep making money.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm positive about it from that perspective. Like just because wanting to see the movies, wanting to see more content, wanting to see more and more and more and more. I think they understand that people want more and more and more, so they'll do what it takes.
And listen, at least it's in good hands.
Yeah.
Look what they're doing with the movies that they have. Disney's putting out hits. Just hits, monster movies, big budgeted movies. It's I guess again, it's more positive than negative.
So when is Sony's turn, huh?
You think they're gonna try to buy out Spider-Man? Sony's
At
like
some point,
the
man.
price just went up.
$10 billion.
They know Disney wants Spider-Man now.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I would sell.
Mm-mm.
They would have to come up with some ridiculous number for them to get Spider-Man.
I mean, who do they really own at this point besides the Spider-Man universe?
Well, yeah, Spider-Man universe, but
Sony?
Spider-Man has a lot of villains.
Sony, true. They own a few TVs.
Oh man. Something else that happened this week. John Wick. I know there's a few of us here that did see us. There's one of us who hasn't seen John Wick. He shall remain nameless for a second or two.
Listen. You can put me on blast. I've been a dad longer than y'all.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so my time is a little bit more controlled and has been for a longer time. I will catch up on John Wick. Let's see.
Sounds we're gonna need a promise to see John Wick 1 at least within the next within this month or so.
I'll do it this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, John Wick Part 1 is on the to-do list.
That's easy.
Yeah.
When John Wick 1 came out, I didn't even bother seeing it in the theaters. I'm not gonna lie, because I saw what's the main actor?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
Because they look cheesy.
Yeah.
That's
I always go back and forth whether he's a good actor or not, because he says the same lines. I've learned kung fu, and I'm like, oh God.
He's a
Jesus.
good human being, though.
He's awesome. He's a fantastic human being. He gives a lot to charity. He does a lot for charity, and
He's a good-looking guy too.
It's a nice hair,
I guess so. I know. Listen, I'm a huge Matrix fan, so that guy can do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw the commercials for the John Wick 1, I was like, nah. I waited and I saw the reviews. It's talking about it's the craziest thing, one of the greatest action movies around this time. I waited till it came out on Blu-ray. Figured I'd wait the 3 months. 3 months came. I invited Brandon over to the apartment or to the house. Where did we watch it at?
It was in the house.
It was in my house?
Yeah.
Okay, so we watched it, and I looked at my brother after the 4th headshot, and I'm like, is my man going to miss? Is
that a pencil?
Is he aiming for anything else but the eyeballs in the head? And I was blown away by it. I was really surprised by John Wick 1. And you know what? John Wick 2 wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as Part 1. I guess it kind of was almost repetitive kind of thing. But John Wick 1 caught me off guard. But this trailer for John Wick 3, wow. I mean,
I will say the trailer does look crazy.
It looks good. It has Halle Berry in it. I'm waiting for them to show me Carrie Ann Moss.
I was going to say, where's the cameo for Carrie Ann Moss?
Hold on. How do you go from Halle Berry to Carrie Ann Moss? Carrie Ann Moss is an attractive woman.
Because you got the whole Matrix reunion.
Yeah, the Matrix reunion going on.
I'm just saying, you can't mention
Yeah.
Halle Berry.
Listen.
There's 2 different levels of attractive there. Let's just appreciate Halle Berry.
Yeah,
she's
Halle Berry, period.
Carrie
Ann
All
Moss.
right, there we go. We'll do it that way.
I hope you're listening, Halle. I love you.
Oh man, but I mean, the trailer looks great. The dogs, the knives, the guns. Is he on a motorcycle with a samurai sword?
Yeah, basically.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I think he was on a horse at
No,
one
he
point.
was
He's on a horse, then a motorcycle.
with the samurai sword and a gun at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so he has one hand on the motorcycle, so he's like has the gun in his other hand with the samurai sword. If you look at the trailer, like this
All right.
is actually kind of cool.
Then how the
Is
hell
this a
he
throwback to Last
driving a
Samurai, you know?
motorcycle?
No, so then he shoots the guy, and then he sticks the samurai sword in the other guy's, wheel, so that bike flips over. And it's just, oh, come on, man.
The trailer looks absolutely crazy. I mean, from what you saw out since you saw the movies, are you seeing John Wick 3?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
definitely?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Brandon, how about you, John Wick 3?
Is that a question?
Okay. I'm definitely a go for John Wick 3. Sanj,
I will see John Wick 1.
okay. He'll commit to John Wick 1 on the trailer there. This, I guess, leads us to the main reason we're here today. This podcast I've been thinking of for a while now. This podcast is supposed to be about March Madness style with the movies. And I think I came up with a little really cool way of doing it.
So, disclaimer: the three of us, Brandon, me, and Al, we have no idea what this dude Hob is about to put out on us, because we've been asking him all week. So, because I mean, we like to prepare, we like to know the topics, we like to be able to speak, on the topics he's going to bring up, so we can do a little research during the week. He has not given us any information about. He just said, he said, look, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be March Madness based. You'll see it on Sunday night. So we're just as in the dark as you are.
I got mad at myself making this thing. Because there was some movies I'm like, that's not number 1 or number 10. And when you look at the numbers, like I said, I looked at IMDb and I got the 64 best movies that they claimed. But I skipped some movies in their order because some movies were like, Casablanca. I'll be real, I've never seen it. As great as everyone says it is, I've never seen it. And I don't think I plan on seeing it. So, I mean, I might see it one day.
On a real tip, you should. I mean, there's a reason certain classic movies are
Classics.
from generation to generation. They just never go away. I mean,
That's true.
And when you put it in the context of the time period and the level of technology that they had and the storytelling, you may want to see movies like Casablanca and Lawrence of Arabia and things like that. These are movies that inspired the directors that we look at, like Spielberg and
right. These made them want to do those movies.
Those are like, when you hear them talk, they said, like, when I was young and I saw this movie and I saw this about that movie, it just it just, that's what I knew then, that I wanted to go to film school and do this. So there's a reason. I mean, you should. You know
what? You're absolutely right, man. And I should open up my my mind more to those kind of movies.
No, and the thing is, and you are an open mind guy, because think, look, one of your top 3 movies is The Count of Monte Cristo.
Oof.
As good of a story as The Count of Monte Cristo is, and as good of a movie as it is, I don't know that a lot of folks would come out and say.
If you're listening to this podcast, you need to rent it, just like he needs to see John Wick.
I own the Count of Monte Cristo, and Edmond Dantes is one of my favorite literary characters of all time. So, anyways,
yeah, man.
But anyhow,
by the way, that Count of Monte Cristo is on the top 64.
But user submitted.
if I have anything to say about it, it's gonna be in the final 4.
Wow. So listen, and with these 64 movies, like I said, movies like Citizen Kane, Casablanca, things that, like, I feel like this podcast is for people of all ages, but I wanted to make sure that people that are around my brother's age and younger would be able to know what movies we're talking about. So, I mean, some movies are going to be older than people who are maybe 18 or 17, 16 right now. But if you are around our ages, you're going to know these movies. And the way I'm doing these...
they know how old we are, huh?
And you will not know. We're legal. That's about it.
Extremely legal.
The movies that I chose are pretty much everyone's gonna know what these movies are. They're battling other movies that are great in my opinion, and it's gonna be tough. So the way I figured I'd make this fair is everyone's gonna choose a bracket: north, west, east, south.
I call north. I am the north.
All right, so I just call it north. Al, what you calling?
East.
Al is the east.
I'll go with East.
All right.
Do I go with west or south?
Let me put this down. Hold on. Let's make this easy for myself here. So this is gonna be the Sanj bracket, the North. So I know who's the North. And then Brandy, Al, you said you're the East?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do the East here.
I'll take west.
You're going to do West?
West. Look at that west.
Oh, man. So you got putting me on the South bracket for now.
I'm getting nervous. My hands are sweating.
I'm starting to get like sweaty right now.
So maybe we should align ourselves at the table in the right bracket. I would be in Brandon's seat. You would be in my seat. Brandon would be in your seat. And then Al is in the correct seat.
All right. So we're going to
I'll
do this.
clarify that on the iPhone. I get my compass out.
I know how my house is situated, bro.
So how we're doing the brackets is so that way that one person doesn't have a complete reign on their bracket. Is the first round is going to be that one person. Whoever chose the North, it will be the North. That whole first round is going to be them.
The nerve.
I'm sorry, the North. It's all good. And the second round, we're going to just rotate clockwise. The third round, rotate clockwise again. Fourth round, rotate clockwise, and then we keep. And we fight for our final four.
All right. I
All right,
like
since
it.
there's four of us. That's why I'm glad that all four of us are here again today. And well, for each bracket or each individual matchup, we'll just briefly talk about it.
I'm going to get stuck with John Wick.
We're going to briefly talk about the movie, what we thought about the movie, and then we're going to let Sainz decide what he wants for these North teams. Just to give you a heads up, in Sanj's division, he has such movies as 300. He has Avatar in there.
Oh, wow.
He
Visually
has
stunning.
Independence Day, Scarface.
Oh, lucky enough to have
Terminator
Scarface.
Oh, there's going to be some
This
bias.
is, and that's why, like I said, we're gonna rotate it clockwise because there's gonna be some bias, and it's
bias.
you listen. Movies is a very opinion-based just thing. You know what I mean? Because I can love a movie and someone can hate the same movie.
Empires have gone to war over less.
You know what I mean? So this is gonna be very interesting, and I say, if you guys are ready, let's go.
I'm in.
You guys ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So in the 116 matchup in the North, we have Shawshank Redemption at 1 versus number 16, which is ridiculous. It's at 16, 300.
Shawshank Redemption has to win that.
Oh, of course. Wow. Me too. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Al, what about you? What? Oh, Al's thinking. Already first.
No. I agree, Shawshank. There's no doubt.
There's
I mean,
no
just
doubt.
based on the story, yeah. It's just I like the visuals of 300
Listen, 300
and the
was
emotion of
amazing.
300, but you can't beat it. Doesn't beat the storyline of
I
Shawshank.
think I would go to the club purposely to look to see if I can kick someone in the chest and say, "This is Sparta."
I will open a nightclub called Sparta and hire you as the lead bouncer.
Oh man! Listen, when I put that matchup up, I was like, "All right, this is gonna be a tough one." But not this one, but everything we were gonna do because even though Shawshank Redemption is easy number one because that movie's incredible, that I can never remember the main guy's name.
Andy
I know
Dufresne.
Morgan Freeman, but
Andy Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne. Wow, that movie just
Shawshank was great.
Yeah.
And Andy Dufresne was played by Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins. That's his name because he's done a couple movies.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
And he's a very good actor.
Yeah. Let's see here. After the 116 bracket, we got the 8-9 bracket. In 8, we got Rocky going against number 9, Lord of the Rings. Al, what's your take on
Wait,
that?
hold on. This is
Oh,
the
wait.
North bracket.
This is the North bracket.
So how come don't I?
You're gonna get to say, but I don't want to hear you say just yet.
Oh, okay.
Let's hear what the people who have no say they think first,
Oh, okay.
and then we'll go to you, Sanj.
I gotta say that.
So that
just,
hopefully we'll convince you of our opinion.
just from the first two, how you set up the brackets, this is masterful because it's not an easy choice. I mean, I know I said Shawshank Redemption real quick
Right.
over 300, but that's not an easy choice. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And then to put Rocky against
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Now,
Wow.
this thing is, there's going to be movies here that have sequels, like The Godfather. To me, Godfather 1 and 2 are both great. So to me, you can pick which Godfather it is that you're arguing for, because honestly, they're both great. With Lord of the Rings, there's the 3 movies. They're all pretty much good. So there wasn't a way for me to like kind of pick Two Towers over, Fellowship of the Ring. So to me, Lord of the Rings is like the overall story.
Okay.
Do you prefer Rocky's story?
So wait, can I ask a question?
Go for it.
So are you talking about the whole Rocky series up against the whole Lord of the Ring? Since,
to be honest with you, I'm going to leave it up to you guys, your interpretation of it, because to
you
me,
know what? Since it's mine, bro, Lord of the Rings isn't. Since you're saying you're putting it up as the whole thing, it's an epic story.
yeah, it's like one epic story.
So let's put the whole Rocky movies, which has to include the Creed movies.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
Because it's spin-off.
It's not a spin-off if Sylvester Stallone is still in the movies.
And he's still Rocky.
Because guess what? Creed 2, Drago versus Apollo, right? Or Drago versus Creed, right?
Yeah.
So it's not really a spin-off. It's a continuation of the story.
I like where you're going with there. I like
Right?
how you're doing this.
So let's look at this as the entirety of Rocky,
Uh-huh.
right, versus the entirety of Lord of the Rings, and we're going to do and Rocky 5 doesn't count.
All right.
Because there's no one like Rocky 5.
The only reason that
Tommy
the Rocky 5 is just like Star Trek 5 is the only reason that anyone owns it
Is to complete the
because
series.
you have to complete the series. If you go upstairs now, Star Trek 5 is unopened. No one watches. No Trek fan watches that movie. Rocky 5 is up there in the packaging. It's not opened. It's just there to complete the packaging.
So opinion on Balboa.
Balboa?
Wasn't that the 6th one?
The name of the 6th one is Rocky Balboa. I thought it was great. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love that one too.
Brandon, Rocky story or Frodo story?
Listen, you can ask anybody. I don't give a dang about Frodo Baggins. It's Rocky for me.
Rocky
Wow.
for you, Al?
I'd have to give a slight edge to Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get out of here.
Like,
Yeah.
Listen, I get the whole big deal of Lord of the Rings. I remember watching it with you guys, Lord of the Rings. I remember watching what was the ones that came out recently, the 3, The Hobbit.
The Hobbit series.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I can't say I was impressed. My favorite parts of Lord of the Rings was whenever the elf king or the elf guy that looked like Zelda, or he looked like Link. Every time he did something, I was like, oh, it's Link.
Just
It's Legolas. Yeah.
Legolas.
Tighten up, Legolas.
Orlando Bloom, you doing him injustice right now.
Dude, when he swung first of all, he defied all gravity rules.
He's an elf.
When he went like one way and then around the horse's neck or a big elephant's neck, I forgot what animal it was.
And he wasn't even looking at it.
Yeah, it was just
It was just-
awkward, but it was.
He knew it was there and just swung on it.
And Sanjay, since this is your bracket, bro, Rocky or Lord of the Rings?
I will answer you musically.
My man. Rocky wins. Oh man, that's the 8-9 match that could have gone either way.
So check this out. How many people do you know that have not run up the steps of the Philadelphia Library?
When given the opportunity, you have to.
Okay. So and then you go through the story. I mean, musically, if we just take it on music, right?
Oh,
and then
come
you
on.
go to the following things, the Eye of the Tiger and all.
Yeah.
Just the score on Rocky is incredible,
I
right?
agree.
And then the story, the fact that Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky, like he wrote the story and like he was
Oh,
broke.
get out of here! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah.
wrote the story.
He wrote it for himself so he can star in
And he
it.
gave
Yeah.
a garbage budget to do it too, and he did it. That's why there was
Yeah.
only him. You know,
Oh,
it's like
wow.
it's
So
other
he
people.
was broke. He was broke, and like all he had was his dog and him, and he was like basically homeless and whatnot. And he was shopping this, and they were like, "All right, yeah." One studio was like, "Yeah, we'll make this movie. We'll give you, and we'll give you $100,000 or whatever to do it. But we're changing this about the story." And he's just like, "No."
Oh wow.
Like they gave him the money, everything, and he's like, "No, we're not changing the story." So they told him to kick rocks, and he just and he had to sell his dog so that he could eat. Like the dog, his one friend, like he had to sell the dog so that he could eat. And then when he
The
got
story alone
exactly.
makes
So
me feel stupid for even giving Rocky
No,
a fight.
no,
He should have just been pushed to the
So-
next round.
But I mean, for me, Rocky, just because it's more modern. It's Sylvester Stallone wrote the story. So much came together in Rocky, and then it's. I mean, my mother and I love her dearly, as most sons do their mothers. But my mom and I don't agree on very much. But my mom and I can sit down and watch Rocky movies and like talk about how great. And she will talk to me about, I like this movie because of this and this. Like, it's just something that me and my mom like agree on.
All right, that's awesome.
The only thing with the Rocky movies that I didn't like, and that was what put it back for me. I love each individual movie,
Right.
but since you said to think of them as a whole or whatever,
Yeah.
each Rocky movie, each two, is the build up to beat that main guy. So like Rocky 1 and 2, he's beating Apollo Creed, training to beat Apollo Creed. Rocky 3, he's all of a sudden
Mr. T, right?
destroyed by Mr. T, has to relearn how to train and this and that to beat Mr. T. Then it's Drago beats him, and he's got to learn to. So
Rocky killed communism. Like, come on.
But what I'm saying is like, so it was the same story, just a different person he had to beat.
Yeah.
Whereas with Lord of the Rings, it was one overarching story about all of these groups coming together to overcome the. So that's why I gave it.
I hear you.
You know,
Yeah.
but each individual Rocky by itself.
By itself is a good movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's like I said, because there's so many, like you said, like even the Dark Knight. We have the Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
In that situation, Dark Knight Rises I put as a separate movie because Dark Knight just needs to go on
By
its own.
itself, yeah. yeah.
And funny enough, outside of the Batman story, that movie can stand on its own.
Absolutely.
If you knew nothing about Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't need.
At all.
It doesn't
Yeah.
need Batman Begins. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go down to the next bracket, the 5-12 matchup, Sanjay.
Yes, sir.
You are choosing between Jurassic Park and The Prestige. I think it's to me it's a fairly easy pick.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like The Prestige. It's a good movie. When I saw it on the top 100 on IMDb, I was like, is it? And then I keep realizing I own it. I've probably seen it like 6 different times.
The
And I'm
Prestige took me by surprise.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be good.
Me neither. But then it was, is it Christian Bale that's in it?
Christian Bale and Hugh Grant.
And Hugh
Hugh,
Grant.
Yeah.
not Hugh Grant. Sorry.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, right.
We did the
Yeah.
Hughes thing again like last week.
This is my fault. I put that in your mind. I put that out there in the universe.
You see, it's the continuity of our podcast.
I was like, I watched it. I was just like, I was like, this ain't gonna be good. And then like midway through, I'm like, this is so
We
good.
need one more to form Movietron.
Yeah, listen, Jurassic Park, classic. You know, no one will ever forget the time they first saw those dinosaurs walking
forgot it.
around. I'm like, they're real.
And
Yeah.
the story made you believe that they could actually do it.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I still think they can get DNA for the dinosaur.
They're about to actually do
Right?
it.
Is it me or did I hear that they're gonna mix it with chicken?
Well,
or
just
or
so you know,
chicken DNA.
dinosaurs never.
Oh, birds, right?
Yeah, never actually
I
went
want
extinct.
bird.
They became birds, and all those raptors that you guys were afraid of watching in Jurassic Park.
You eat them every day.
They are now chickens. This is true. If you want to learn more about it, I can do a separate thing on dinosaurs. I have an expert
Oh wow.
that can come in and talk about dinosaurs. But yes, it is more. You know, in Jurassic Park, they mixed them with amphibian DNA or whatever. But we've since learned that dinosaurs are actually birds, and
More
it
related to the
it
bird.
would be
Yeah.
more appropriate to fill in gaps in the DNA with bird DNA.
Well, I hope that I don't see.
Yeah.
Raptor driven by this.
We
wait,
now eat the rat.
wait, just
Look at
only
Raptors
because
going down wine dance.
I'm in shock over this. Does anybody know that realize that they're making a Dora the Explorer movie?
Yep.
I brought it up on IMDb to look up some stuff, and I saw the preview.
the preview, and I was so mad
Oh,
that I
God.
watched the 2-minute preview.
Why are we mad? Why are you mad about the Dora the
Because I'm gonna have to take my daughter to go watch it now.
The only thing I was mad at is that she didn't turn towards the screen and ask us to help out.
Oh my god.
Man, listen, we're gonna go down to the next bracket here. We
Yeah.
got the 4-13 matchup in the North bracket with Avatar going up against my heart and soul, the Count of Monte Cristo.
Count of Monte Cristo. That would no. Come on.
Over Avatar?
Over Avatar.
Cares about
Avatar,
Na'vis.
Avatar was visually stunning, right? And the story was okay.
Pocahontas.
Dances with Wolves.
I mean, the story was okay, but it was visually stunning. But when you come down to I mean, the movie and story, Count of Monte Cristo. I told you there's gonna be inherent bias in this.
Wow.
And Avatar was like one of the first IMAX movies, right? That was like its whole thing. It was shot with this
With the IMAX 3D.
that IMAX 3D camera.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it had going for it was the visuals, in my opinion.
That movie is in the top 2, I believe, of the
Highest grossing,
Highest
right?
grossing, yeah. That's why it's up there at number 4 for Sanjay's bracket there. For the number 6 versus 11 bracket, we have Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Oof.
Die Hard.
Okay, which is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Going up
Bruce
against
Willis said it's not.
going up against the Black Swan.
Come on.
Ooh, that's hard.
That movie was interesting.
Black
Black-
Swan was
What?
interesting.
Black
Oh
Swan.
wait. Al's completely hating that. Black Swan's even in the top 64. Al's hot take.
Oh man, no, definitely. I would go with Die Hard over that. Yeah. I mean, Black Swan was its own unique movie, but
She turned
Yeah,
into
no.
a goddamn ostrich at the end.
yeah, I mean, come on.
No, swan. Black swan.
But yeah, no, I would definitely have to go with Die Hard.
She looked like a shit.
Plot twist! He turned into an ostrich.
Oh man, Saj, your take.
Is everyone finished giving their commentary?
Yeah.
sounds like there's more commentary that should come out. I've had an ostrich burger, by the way. And
Oh,
no,
no.
I'm just kidding. It'll have for me. It's hard because I appreciate good storytelling
Yeah.
as well. It's a big part of the movie for me.
Mhm.
But and Black Swan was just I just thought it was an incredible story.
Me too, man. I was really caught off guard with that movie.
But Die Hard.
Die Hard. I'm surprised Die Hard is that up high in the list there, but it's.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers!
Yeah,
Like, come
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
It's an iconic
It
movie.
is.
Yeah.
It is. And let's see here, the number 3-14 matchup in the North bracket. We have Independence Day versus The Departed.
The Departed.
Yeah.
Blasphemy.
No, I agree.
You
Yeah.
agree? No,
Yeah.
in that matchup.
Yeah, that.
You can't-
Yeah.
Dude, Independence Day was a moment in time, dude.
It was great, but it has so many flaws in
They
it
blew
that
up the White
sometimes
House
it took
in
you
the
away
first
from the
10
story.
minutes.
Like, come on, Jeff Goldblum took down the whole mothership with a virus that he made on his Apple laptop. You're telling me he had better programming than aliens that were able to cross the galaxy? So I mean, that
Will
took
Smith
that right
ran
there
up on
took
that
me out of the
alien, punched
movie.
him in the
Listen,
face.
Independence Day was a
And he punched the alien in the face. Yeah, come
great
on.
movie, and the president of the United States was ably played by Bill Paxton.
Dude, that
Yeah.
speech.
We will not go quietly into the night. We will fight.
Dude, that speech to this day.
It does, but when you put it up against The Departed,
Yeah, nah.
that was an unfair matchup.
The
Yeah.
Departed was cool. I was like, wow, everybody died. Oh,
Well, yeah,
man,
that was
spoiler
it.
alert.
No, but it was.
But yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, The Departed came out like what?
About 13 years ago.
Yeah, by now y'all should have watched it.
No, but that's what was great about the storytelling in The Departed was that it made sense, and then the big bad gangster all along he was an informant. Like, you know what I'm saying? There was so many twists and turns going on
Yeah, that movie was really
in the
good.
movie, and like it really you didn't get the resolution that you wanted.
Was that who's the one that does all the good like gangster movies? Or was that? Wasn't
They
that-
didn't have any of the regular guys that do good gangster movies but you did have Jack Nicklaus.
Mhm.
Or
Leonardo.
Jack Nicholson? I always get that mixed up. Nicholson, yes. You had him, and you had Leo DiCaprio,
Mhm.
great actor. And you had Matt Damon, and their interplay with each other worked well.
That movie was good. Departed. Well, that's a good.
That was
The
an
ending, though, I was
Yeah.
like,
that was
the ending. I was like, wow. Okay.
that was an unfair matchup.
Wow. 14-3. Independence Day goes down just like in the real March Madness. There. That's insane. Okay, I really did think Independence Day was just gonna like kind of skirt by on that one, but
I told you, good storytelling, man.
yeah, man. All right. I mean, so I kind of know where this one's gonna go, but this one might get Al a little upset.
Uh-oh.
We have at the 7th spot Scarface going up against on number 10 Star Wars: A New Hope.
Now, okay, are we saying Star Wars?
No.
No, he said it.
No
He
Hope.
said the title.
Yeah, he
Okay,
specified
that
a New
was
Hope.
a high
Because I don't know if
grossing
we're going to do that with
movie.
Lord of the Rings and Rocky. Okay.
It was in the top 100, so I made it by itself. B-Dog, you were nowhere near born when Star
For
Wars.
any of
was
these, I wasn't
We
here
were
for
nowhere-
any of these movies.
We were nowhere
And
near
Scarface
born.
neither. Scarface, I think.
No,
you
no.
know.
Oh, for any. I thought you were talking about Star Wars. Sorry.
No, but Star Wars, I know that Star Wars. I think came out when I was born. 78 Star Wars.
Well,
76.
Scarface
Star
was
Wars New Hope
83.
came out.
It was in the
I
70s.
think it was 76 with Star Wars.
No way! Wow,
Yeah.
and it's still a big deal. But
Star Wars New Hope 77.
77.
And Scarface was 83.
Nice. Very nice.
You're a glimmer.
Brandon, have you seen these two movies?
I have seen both.
Really? Okay. I mean, I've seen all the Star Wars, obviously.
Yeah.
Scarface, I saw actually about a couple years ago because I was one of those guys who I've never seen The Godfather or Scarface, and I'm like, I need to see these
Same
movies.
here. Godfather.
So
too.
I
Like
saw
told you,
Scarface because everyone knows the quotes from Scarface. You know, even if you never
You got
saw
a
it.
belly, it's a bag. You got tits, you need a bra. Look at her. Look at her. A junkie. I got a junkie for a wife.
So I guess we know what Sanjay's picking.
So
but-
I mean, both those movies, like,
I can't even have a
Incredible.
clue. Her whole room is so polluted. And this man is saying this to a woman in a packed restaurant. And then when she gets up and leaves, he's like, Manolo, leave her alone. I give her a cuelo, she love me again.
The best line in that movie to me personally. I'm not gonna kill you. Manolo, kill him.
I got that one beat. That's a great line from the movie. I got that one beat. Manolo, what'd you tell him? Well, Tony, I told him I was in a sanitarium, like you told me to tell him. Manolo, I didn't tell you to tell him you was in a sanitarium. I told you to tell him you was in sanitation. No, Tony, you said sanitarium. Manolo, you should have told him you was a horse.
That like reminds me of my dad.
I'm sure he said that exact line a couple times.
Al, is it as hard of a matchup I thought it was for you, or is
Yeah,
it
I'm
easy?
still
You still debating now?
tempted to say tie, but jeez.
Cause Star Wars changed the game, man. That changed the game. But
I would have to say Scarface.
yeah, he too.
Yeah, I'm surprised I'm saying Scarface just because of how much I like Star
Let's
Wars.
see if Sanj shocks us.
But
Sanj, what do you choose
Scarface.
on this one?
So, on this one, I will allow you guys to have veto power if you so choose to exercise. Because my bias not only extends to Scarface, it extends against Star Wars. You guys have known me long enough to
Yeah.
know that I am a huge Star Trek fan.
Yeah,
And that Star Trek is, in fact, my religion. And I don't like Star Wars at all.
Listen,
I don't like the story. I don't like the storytelling. I like Yoda. I do. That's about the only thing I like about Star Wars. I mean, I watch their movies. You know, good battle scenes. They're entertaining overall. But I'm not a Star Wars fan. To me, it's a retelling. It's another Jesus story.
yeah,
It's just I'm not here for it.
I got
And
you.
to me, Star Trek is just so much better than Star Wars. You guys already know that Scarface is one of my top 3 movies of all time. So
Yeah.
those combined, I'm obviously going to defer to Scarface. So I will choose Scarface. However, if you guys want to overturn that
I'll go with
decision,
it because it's his bracket.
Yeah, it's your bracket 1 and 2. I kind of agree with you with the Scarface and Star Wars. Even I, as a big Star Wars fan that I am, I can appreciate Scarface a lot more than Star Wars, the first one. There's other Star Wars I like a little bit more than that first Star Wars. So you're good on that one.
Thank you, sir.
Sanj, your last one, the 215 matchup.
Mm.
It's going to be hard for you, man.
Okay.
You chose the bracket.
I did choose the bracket.
Number 2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Classic.
I love that movie.
Going up against number 15, jump shots at 15, Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises.
What?
Against T2?
No! Whoa! Whoa, a number 2 seed goes down.
Wait. Dark
the
Knight
third one,
Rises. That's the
Gary.
third one with Bane, right?
This were you not
Bane one.
present for the last podcast?
Yeah.
Did I not explain why I
He
put Dark
said-
Knight Rises on the? For
Yeah.
me, Dark Knight Rises. You got
Oh, wow.
again. I mean, look. Some of the explanations for this stuff is a whole podcast by itself, right? But as the Batman story is also something that is very near and dear to me, and the fact that Christopher Nolan told a realistic story, somewhat, and also gave Batman an out, or gave Bruce Wayne an out, and I just thought it was an incredible story. Stuff like that gets me, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm not a very, like I'm not like gonna cry and things like that. That's not the type of guy I am. But it comes out on these movies where the movies really, and movies and books that I read really,
affected you.
affect me, and that's where I get the emotional response. And then at the end, when Alfred sat there and looked across and saw and Bruce and Selena sitting there, and Bruce just gave him the nod and went like that. I mean, I'm like, all right, okay, I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good. So I mean, and Terminator 2: Judgment Day is great, as great of a great a movie as it is. If we're going to the story, right? It doesn't have anything like that in it. And then if we go visually, right? Yes, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. You go back, it's the 90s, and it's hard to
What liquid Terminator? That was Terminator T 2000.
Yeah.
I forgot what.
Yeah.
That was so long ago.
Yeah, but I mean, they did really well with the special effects, and everything looked really
It was
good.
a great
and everything,
story
but,
too, but
put them in their context. Batman has great story, great visuals and everything, but the storytelling on Dark Knight Rises wins.
listen. In the end, this is your bracket. Well, the first round was yours.
Right.
And like I said, this is going to be something where, again, our listeners and even us ourselves here, we're going to either agree or disagree. But as long as we can talk about it here, that's what's amazing. And then, when we start,
question for you guys:
Go
you
for
guys would, all three of you would have chosen Terminator over Dark Knight Rises?
I would have.
Yeah.
I would have.
Yeah.
But you don't have to.
No,
No,
but
man. This is your bracket. 'Cause when it goes to our brackets, you're not gonna have a say besides your opinion on it.
Yeah.
all right, okay,
Yeah,
I mean,
man. That's
but
what
you
this
gotta,
is for.
well, no, but my bias, choosing this bracket, there's just so many movies in there that I had so much bias on that I didn't think I'd have that much bias on. I mean, you threw like Panama Monte Cristo in there, and you didn't throw
your heart.
I mean, you didn't throw any Star Trek, but you threw something that I mean,
I'm loving it.
yeah, but so I
Loving
mean,
it.
there's just so much. Yeah, and then Batman you throw in there? I mean, you guys can't see the room that we're in, but, there's the Enterprise over there, still sitting in a box, and the Optimus Prime is over here. There's there's the whole 25-year anniversary of all the people from Star Trek, and those are Pez dispensers. They're still in the box. So, I mean, there's some real bias here.
Hey, man, listen. It's your bracket. And what's coming out of that North bracket right now, we got still in the matchup, we got that number 1 seed, Shawshank Redemption. The number 8 seed, Rocky. We have Jurassic Park, the number 5. We have the first, what do they call it when the lower seed wins?
Upset.
The first upset, Count of Monte Cristo over Avatar. We got Die Hard. The Departed beat Independence Day in the 3-14 matchup. Scarface went up in there. And the number 15 seed beat the number 2 seed T2, which is The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
Woo! They're still all great movies.
Yeah, now when you read off the movies, I'm not upset.
Yeah.
No, they're
I'm not
still
upset.
pretty good.
I'm comfortable with that.
All right, we're gonna go to Al's bracket now. The East bracket.
Uh-oh.
All right, now number 1 versus 16 seed. This should be an easy one, but let's see. We got The Godfather. You can make it part 1. You can make it part 2. You can make it the story, whatever you like. Going up against number 16.
exclude Godfather Part 3.
Feel free. Going up against Shrek. I was surprised that it was so high up on the list,
That
I
okay.
can see it. I can see it.
but it made it just barely made it into the list. Shrek versus The Godfather. Brandon, what's your take on this? Should be. I don't even want to hear the word Shrek right now.
Oh no, you want to hear All-Star right now? No, All-Star? Hey now! Nah, man, I would go straight up Godfather on that one.
Donkey.
Sanj.
I think it's unfair that Shrek shouldn't come out as the best movie of all time or anything like that. But Shrek
It was
should
number 64, dude.
Just made
It shouldn't have to go up against The Godfather in round one. Like, let them have their Cinderella moment. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you got Godfather. Shrek can't compete against The Godfather. Yeah, okay.
Oh man, Al, what you do?
Yeah, Godfather. Come on.
Okay.
That was pretty easy.
Yeah.
In the 8-9 matchup, Al, this is gonna be a good one for you, man, because
Uh-oh.
you have to take your feelings aside on this. The Matrix at number 8, going up against the number 9 seed, Simba, the Lion King.
Oh.
Sanj, what you got in this matchup? Wow, speechless. First time. Let me tell you guys, I have known Sanjay. I am 40 years old. Sanjay has been in my life for about 30 of them.
Yes, that is exactly. It's actually 31 now.
Right.
80 because it was 88 that we did.
This is the first time I've seen Sanjay speechless. The Matrix, one of the best movies of Al's 3 top movies, going up against probably the movie that raised Brandon, The Lion King.
Taught me how to feel.
It taught you how to feel. We still have the Mufasa challenge.
So if I had to choose between that, the reason that I would pick The Lion King is that there are a lot of, although The Matrix was a great story and it was something unique and cinematography wise, unlike anything we'd ever seen. Now everyone does those slow-mo shots where people are dodging bullets and everything.
Yeah.
You know, but from an animated movie, Lion King brought Disney back.
Mm-hmm.
Their animated division. Anyway, they had good movies, but Lion King, it's only now from when Lion King came out, maybe 20 years ago, right? It's only now that people are talking about, okay, there's a debate now, is Moana better than The Lion King, right?
I haven't seen Moana, but I wouldn't even say
Pretty good.
If you haven't seen Moana, you can't weigh in on that debate
No,
just yet. If you
because
haven't
I'm just
seen
like Lion King
because
is incredible.
Lion King is incredible, but Moana isn't even.
Really?
Yeah,
Good.
it's really good. And the music from the and I
It was
thought
in my recital.
yeah I thought the music from Lion King couldn't be beat. Moana's music definitely beats the Lion King's music, not by much, but I mean, so yeah, just so the fact that as an animated movie, for 20 years, it's stood like no one has been able to say, well, okay, yeah, this animated movie is better.
It's really.
But yes, I would just go with the Lion King over that.
Yeah, see, 8-9 is you're gonna find movies that are really neck and neck, as you saw in yours, and now in this bracket. Brandon, if you had to choose between the Lion King and the Matrix, there in that bracket, in that round.
I'd call the Lion King all the way.
Wow.
That movie was it was everything. Like, you didn't see the Mufasa thing happening, and then when you did see it coming, you were like, oh, they're not. And then they did it, I'm like, oh. And then like real tears came from my eyes, and I was only, maybe 4
Wait,
or 5?
Didn't me and you have a conversation? We were like, hey, did you know that they're remaking Lion King, but live? And you were like, I can't go through it again.
I was like, I can't see that happening, and only better. You know, I can't see them kill a lion again. Man.
Oh, man. Ow. Hot take. Where you going, Al? This is one of your favorite movies of all time. I mean, The Lion King, Matrix. Your call. Wow, that's a lot of silence.
All because it's hard. Like, I know what I want to say, but just based on how we've been evaluating everything,
Yeah.
like I would have to go with Lion King as well.
Really?
No, but I mean, this is your choice. Don't
No,
let
but see,
it
because I don't want.
bias.
Yeah, but I don't want to use bias because like I'm I love Matrix, the style, how it influenced the market and everything,
Yeah.
but Lion King, just based on what it dealt with, the storyline and everything, you can retell that story over and over and over again, and every generation is going to be able to relate to that story.
All right.
I can still relate to Matrix because I go back to the time when we saw it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of going to the Hicksville movie theater, watching it coming out and going, the hell we just see?
Right. Yeah.
Like-
what?
So like,
Are we in the Matrix right now?
Yeah.
Made you think, right?
yeah. But that's why Matrix is good.
Yeah.
Whereas Lion King, like I can show it to Layla right now, and she can relate to everything that's happening in the storyline. You
Yeah.
know, like the family bond, this going out and having to discover yourself and coming back and taking. Yeah.
And then now, as an adult, since we're dads now, like you can watch Lion King and you can watch it through Mufasa's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like that, you growing up as a little kid, you're watching it through Simba's eyes, right?
Mhm.
Now, and then you sitting there watching your own kids watch it, and you're Mufasa, you know?
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe the discussion that came on with Matrix versus Lion King. Oh man, Al, your next matchup, 12. You got one of my favorite movies. You got one of Brandon's favorite movies.
Oh.
We got 7 going up against Interstellar.
Ooh.
Ooh, I wouldn't know what to do there.
Ooh.
7.
I'm so happy that's not my bracket.
I mean, if you haven't
What's
seen
in the
7,
box?
you need to go see it. Interstellar was
It's
good.
my
It was really
in a
good.
box.
I know for me, it would be easy 7. Brandon, you wouldn't even have a choice in this one, huh?
Dude, I can't even with that one. Because
Wow.
that's too good. Because both of those movies, like, Seven came out when I was too young to understand Seven.
Right.
And then I watched it when I first went, my first college, when I went to college the first time.
Yeah.
I watched it, I'm like, yo, this is crazy, you know? I thought Seven was insane. Interstellar, you know, that came out maybe 3 years ago, and that blew my mind, that movie.
Yeah.
But when you put them in context relating to each other, they stand up against each other really well, and that's tough for me.
I always forget how good 7 is. I will rewatch 7, and when I finish the movie, every time I go, that's why I keep mentioning it as my favorite movie of all time. Because I always forget how good 7 is. It gets a little weird, but in the end, the story, how
In the
I
context
feel,
of what they were going with,
the
it made sense.
suspense
Yeah.
of even them just driving to meet up with him at the end. Oh my God. Sanj, 7. Interstellar.
7.
7. Wow.
7. I mean, Interstellar is good, but the difference for me, the difference between Interstellar and 7 is the difference between good and great.
I got you.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Right?
can see that.
I mean, the music is great in 7. I mean, not in 7, in Interstellar, and it's a good story, but it's kind of a linear story.
To me, it's a good story, but it was a little predictable.
Yeah.
And the ending was good, but I thought it was going somewhere else. But it was good. It was good.
Yeah, but that 7, that's just great.
Seven.
Yeah.
Oof.
Al, your bracket. Your
7.
call. Wow.
7.
Real quick.
Yeah.
7. All right, we got 7 moving on up. Good choice, Al. Your 4-13 matchup. Goodfellas going up against number 13, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Oh, and the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Good fellas.
Wow. Goodfellas, real easy on that one.
Yeah.
You know, that one, I really don't think that needed a lot of discussion. I personally love The Last Crusade, but I think I love the whole, like, detective part of it, and the clues and figuring out what they meant was kind of cool, but Goodfellas
I'm going to
is
get
amazing.
player hated on real quick.
Uh-oh.
With Indiana Jones, was there really a need for the first movie other than introducing Indiana Jones?
The first movie
Like,
better than the
either
second.
way. No. In
Are
this
you just
actual story.
Are you just quoting Amy Farrah Fowler from Big Bang Theory right now?
What'd you say?
Yeah.
She's basically saying the same thing. Like
That-
basically-
that-
They were going to open the box.
Yo,
Either
kid,
way.
no,
Like,
no,
it
no.
was
That
really
episode,
open.
that episode destroyed Raiders of the
Yeah,
Lost
he's
Ark for
quoting
me.
Amy
Yeah.
Farrah Fowler.
I don't even know.
That
I've
episode,
never
Raiders
seen
of
it.
the
But, like,
destroyed.
seriously, so they were going to open the box anyway.
I've
Like,
never heard this. What's going on with the
In that episode of
Big
Big Bang Theory, she points out to the fact that Raiders of the Lost Ark is a horrible movie
Yeah, it's
because
completely
if you
unnecessary.
take him out of the movie, everything still happens.
Yeah.
Like, if Indiana Jones isn't there, they're still going to open the box and they're all going to die. anyway.
They were already looking for the Ark. They would have found it,
Right.
They had the
And they
map.
still would have
They
died.
had the map. They would have all died. Indiana Jones did nothing
He just
about
used it to
it.
close his eyes. Hold up your eyes.
Now,
Oh
if
my
you
God.
had you said Temple of Doom,
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
see,
yeah.
that's a different movie.
I'm right there.
You know what?
Kalima.
I didn't like Temple of Doom. Personally.
No?
Really?
No, I like the Lost Ark more than Temple
Oh,
of
wow.
Doom. But let's see what's in the other brackets there, because we never know. Especially y'all don't know. In your 6-11 matchup, Al, we got Fight Club going up against the number 11 seed, Star Wars, Force Awakens.
Oh, Fight Club.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Fight
Fight
Club
Club.
on
I
that?
mean, yeah, huh?
Why?
Because it actually got me. I didn't see the twist coming.
Really?
No.
And you know, if
No.
I think about it now, I never saw the twist come in. And
No.
when I saw it, I was like, nah,
should've
they
seen
definitely,
that.
they
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
gave
yeah.
a pound
It was
of-
like one of those twists that when they show it, you're like, oh, that's okay, it's so
and you
obvious.
watch it,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh wow. Yeah.
But when they first showed it, I'm like, what are they doing? What's going on? Like I really got caught up with it. So yeah.
Sanj, I know you have a little, like you said, you don't really like Star Wars too much, but Fight Club. What you thought of Fight Club?
Yeah,
Man?
Fight Club over Star Wars because of The Force Awakens, they build another Death Star. It's the same story again.
But it was great. It was good though.
So
it
they-
was really
so
good. It was
I
one of the
would-
highest grossing. It was so high up in the grossing thing. I had to put it up in
but
there.
check it out. No.
Yeah.
It is. It's there. It's people believe it's a good movie. But again, they apparently in the last. Again, like, come on, how y'all keep messing it up?
I'm gonna agree. Like I don't.
And then
I'm not the biggest
we're
fan
gonna
of
build a
your
Death Star that can now fire from across another star system. Like, come on, it's enough. Come on,
I got
get
you.
a new story, please.
In our number 314 bracket, we're gonna go to Brandon for his take on this one because this
Uh-oh.
one should touch his heart a little bit.
Oh.
At the number 3 spot, we have Captain America: Civil War going up against. There were so many of these movies that I could not put them individually in places, so I just figured, let's do the series on this. Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
Harry Potter came out on my birthday every year. I was like, I always knew what I was gonna do on my birthday because Harry Potter came out on my birthday, November 21st, every time. Ooh. Ah, man.
The number 314.
I honestly, I would have to give it to Harry Potter as a series.
Oh,
As a series.
God.
As a series, because you said it.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
a
yeah.
series composed to the one single Captain America Civil War.
The Civil War was great.
I would have to say the 8 movies of Harry Potter beat out the one Civil War.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with it.
Okay. Bias.
It's my bias.
I love it. I love
It's
it.
not my choice though.
Yeah.
But I grew up with every single Harry Potter. Him and I grew up together. You know, it was like I was watching this guy grow up as I grew up, and I'm like, dang, I don't learn any of these spells yet. You know. So if we were comparing the series
Yeah.
to Civil War, I will say the series of Harry Potter. But if you compared it, if you gave me one Harry Potter movie, I would go Civil War.
Okay. I get what you're saying on that one. Sanj, yourself, man.
I would agree wholeheartedly with Brandon if you're gonna put the Harry Potter series up against
The one Civil War.
the one
movie.
Civil War movie, just because the iconic nature of what Harry Potter is
Right.
at a global level and how the impact that it has and the worldwide recognition that it has. And it's its own thing. It's like Harry Potter is the cult of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
You know, just like how Star Wars is a thing and Star Trek is a thing.
Yeah.
You know, like Civil War by itself is not
A
its
thing.
own thing. It doesn't have its own following.
Right.
You know, so Harry Potter, the series, is just way too big.
Is there any specific movie you two like from the Harry Potter series?
Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire changed the game.
Yeah.
Because
that's
that was
my favorite.
That
out
was
of
the
all
movie
of
where
them.
Voldemort actually
Showed
came
up,
in,
yeah.
and then they straight up murdered Cedric Diggory, and it was like, whoa, they could do that. Like you knew it was
It's a
gonna
kid's
happen.
movie.
Like
No,
the
it's not.
books came out a while before you knew it was gonna happen, but then to see that imagination
Yeah.
put there in that movie like that, you're like, oh dang, that hurts a lot more than I thought it was gonna hurt.
Which was the movie where Professor Snape gets it?
The Bloodborne Prince.
Blood Prince. To me, it would be
That one?
because Snape up until that point, he was always thought of generally as a bad guy,
Yeah.
right? And then in his death, so much comes out about him. Like he was really protecting Harry
The entire time.
the entire time, and along the way, and then you learn more about the relationship between him and
His mother.
his mother, and I really felt for
Yeah, for
Professor
me,
Snape.
Goblet of Fire and Prisoner of Azkaban, those were two of my
Yeah, those
favorite
were
ones, man. I like. Al, I'm not even sure about Harry Potter with you, man. I'm not sure if you watching them or.
Watched them,
Enjoying
but
them.
just to say I watched them, and
Yeah.
I know it was always like a movie where it was on in the background.
I got you.
Yeah.
So if you had to choose between those two, I mean, you don't have to. You have to.
No, to the point of again, if we're comparing it to 7 or 8, what is it, 8
Eight movies.
against the 1, you obviously have to go with the effect that the total story would have.
Yeah.
So I agree. Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. All right, Harry Potter moves on. I'll be honest with you guys. If it was my choice, I probably would have chose Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
to me, Civil War was just a
Hot take,
crazy,
okay.
amazing movie that worked so well in so many different ways. It was just amazing. Your 7-10 matchup, Al. We got The Usual Suspects versus another classic of mine, man, Heat.
Heat. Oh my
Heat.
gosh. Heat showed up on this
With
list.
The Usual Suspects. Yeah, I was surprised Heat was up there. Like that actually wasn't in top grossing or anything like that, but that was definitely top 100
Oh
of
wow.
movies that people need to see.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. But in
Good
terms,
sound. What was that? Michael Mann that did that
I
movie?
think so.
Jesus.
no,
That's what a gun sounds like? Oh, man. That movie was amazing. So, Brandon, you've seen both of those movies, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen Usual Suspects?
I have.
Yeah, me that one touches me all the time, The Usual Suspects.
I
man.
would go
The
for Usual Suspects.
Kaiser Sauce. Unbelievable. We have a friend of ours named Orlando who used to call himself Kaiser.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He still calls his nickname is Kaiser. In that matchup there, Al, what you talking?
oh, definitely Usual Suspect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that matchup was kind of easy.
See, now I'm getting
It's
nervous.
7 and 10. Yeah, because Al, you haven't gone yet.
I'm getting nervous because like the Green Mile is gonna show up on one of ours, and I don't even want to know what it's gonna go up against. But if I get Green Mile, everyone's gonna know I'm gonna pick the Green Mile.
All right, man. So in this matchup, Al, this is your last choice here for this bracket. We have Schindler's List at number 2.
Oh wow.
Man, that movie was up there for a lot of different things,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
It was a
yeah.
classic. It's gonna be pretty funny. Going up against your T-shirt, Al. It's so weird that we're
Deadpool?
wearing it. Going up against Deadpool. Al, Schindler's List over Deadpool.
Oh,
If you
that
pick
that
the wrong
can't-
thing, you might get a lot of hate mail.
Ah, okay. Schindler's List. There's no way. I mean, I love Deadpool. I got both of the movies. I'm wearing the T-shirt and everything just because, as a superhero, he cracks me up. But yeah, there's no way he takes out Schindler's List.
All right, so Al, in your bracket, we got The Godfather moving on, Lion King, 7, Goodfellas, Fight Club, Harry Potter beat out Captain America. That's your upset in there. Usual Suspect, Schindler's List. So pretty much everything that was a top seed in this bracket won out as it should.
Hmm.
One little thing there. So let's see. Let's go to the next bracket, which is Brandon.
Oh gosh.
Your bracket is the West, or you called it the West.
The West.
In your bracket, Brandon, you have such movies as Titanic. You got Pulp Fiction up in there.
Ooh.
Ghostbusters.
Which one?
It's gonna be your choice on that one.
Oh God.
The Avengers.
Ah.
So let's go to your first bracket there of the West bracket. Your first matchup there is the Titanic at the 1 seed. Going up against the number 63 movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
Well, my bias says that I hate the Titanic. Everything in my life that has gone wrong, Titanic has been in the background. So I have a huge personal bias against the Titanic.
Oh my
I will
God.
say this. In watching the Titanic, I will say that the story of it was actually kind of interesting. I thought it was way too campy. You know, it was meant to be that date night movie for your girlfriend, and that was the entirety of it. I will say that Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On, My girlfriend still sings that in the car. But I will not be picking that movie. I'm going Guardians.
So wait,
Whoa.
wait. So you hate Titanic that much, and your girl sings Titanic in the car too, and you still wouldn't? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Don. I'm just kidding. I didn't mean it.
Wow.
We love you.
Son,
Upset.
is it that big of a hate thing for Titanic, or
No, I don't hate Titanic.
would you have chosen Guardians too?
I am going to choose Guardians over
Wow.
Titanic in that matchup. But because I mean Titanic was good. I mean Brandon Hidalgo was like a good date night movie, and I still remember the date.
Wow.
that I took to that movie all these years later.
Ow.
That was good.
Am I crazy that I'm the only one that would have chose Titanic right now, or
Over Guardians?
over Guardians of the Galaxy, the #1 overall grossing movie of all time?
Of all time, which is crazy.
That movie made more than Infinity War that came out last year, 2019 money.
There was enough space on the piece of wood for both of them.
Like, there's been diagrams on that door, man.
Yeah, I probably would have gone with Titanic though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Well,
man.
good thing it's not your bracket.
Shocker in the West bracket.
In the
yeah.
first round.
All right, Brandon.
Down goes Frazier.
This is gonna be your 8-9 bracket, which is that bracket where everyone gets a little bit stuck on. But I'm not sure if you saw this #9 movie, but we'll give it a shot. So number 8 is Black Panther. Marvel, knocked it out the park with that one. Going up against number 9, American History X with Edward Norton.
Man, the context between those two movies alone,
It's really crazy.
That's
man.
really weird that we
It's weird that it came out like that.
I
Not
wrote.
purposely done.
I have actually, funny enough, in high school and college, had to write papers on American History X. So I viewed
Dude,
that
isn't it
movie
crazy how
many
the
times.
brackets are going to the person that you guys randomly chose them,
Yeah.
and these brackets are talking to you.
They're literally talking to me. I mean,
Titanic
man.
and American History X has some like touchy stuff on you.
Ah,
Man.
American History X, man, that Edward Norton killed it in that movie.
Put your mouth on the street.
You gotta bite the curb. You gotta bite the curb. Bite the curb, man. Oh, that
I
hurts.
could not watch that, dude. I turned away.
Oh, man.
But
So, I mean, in relation to both, I love what Ryan Coogler did with Black Panther. That it hit on every point that he needed to hit with that movie.
I remember at the end of the Black Panther, you stood up and you said, "I do not deserve to see that movie."
Yeah. It hit every point it needed to. The story had substance. The villain had substance. And that was something that Marvel needed for so long.
Yeah.
Was for someone other than Loki to have substance. And, you know, that movie, like I said, I was undeserving to watch that movie. But American History X, that was powerful too. This is tough.
You know what? Take your time. Take your time.
Can we
Sanj,
go around?
Yeah, we're about to go around now. Sanj, what's your take on that? Black Panther versus American History X. I'm really happy that the 8-9 matchup is giving everyone a hard time, as it's supposed to.
There are other movies like American History X. There's nothing like Black Panther, so I'll give it to Black Panther.
Wow, Sanj going Black Panther. Al, have you seen American History X?
No,
Okay.
no.
I
So
think I
check
have
it
that
out,
upstairs
man.
if you want to borrow it.
It's deep, man.
It's just
Deep,
like Crash.
deep.
Have you ever seen Crash?
yeah, I've seen
Different
Crash.
context, but going along the same lines of, you know, like cultural. Oh God.
Me personally, is very, very close between the two. The only reason I give the edge to Black Panther is because I like this so much. American history hit me in my core.
It was just so real.
Yeah, it was very real. Very real.
I'm honestly, I was undeserving to see Black Panther, so I'm gonna give it to Black Panther.
All right. Black Panther makes it out of the 8-9 matchup, which is usually the closest matchup in the game and has been for our brackets. In your 5-12 matchup, Brandon, we got Pulp Fiction going up against the Avengers Infinity War.
Come on! What is this?
Brandon went up and opted.
Oh no!
Avengers Infinity War, one of the
I love
highest
Pulp
grossing
Fiction.
movies ever, but in the top 100 of movies, it wasn't ranked up so high. So it made it up to number 12, Avengers Infinity War of your bracket.
Against Pulp Fiction?
Against
Pulp Fiction.
Kit.
classic.
Brandon, I'm glad you got this choice.
Fiction, man. Oh.
Do you love it as much as you love Infinity War?
Oh,
Brandon?
but they're like there together. They're holding each other's hands. Who wants to split first?
Let's go out. Pulp Fiction.
Oh, I'd have
Infinity War.
Pulp Fiction. Yeah, Kit. As much as I'm Marvel and everything. Yeah, Pulp Fiction, man.
Sanj.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction, the cast of characters
Yeah.
that come together in Pulp Fiction.
It's just the way they come together in Pulp Fiction is just perfect.
The way the story comes together, I gotta tell you the truth. The first time I saw Pulp Fiction, I was very confused by it. I had to watch it a second time. Second time I watched it, it hit me. Like, wow, this is incredible film.
Yeah. There's people still debating what's in the briefcase.
I thought it was his soul.
That's what they say. Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
unrealistic, but at the same time, the whole movie's unrealistic. But they said it's his soul. But for me, I think what Infinity War did last year and how it's changed the landscape of so much things right now. Like, I can't go a couple of days without hearing something about Infinity War online, YouTube, podcast.
So I'm gonna hit at all these points here. You know, with Infinity War, it did what I've been waiting that decade for it to do. It brought together all of these heroes into this. It made this universe so tangible. Even the Avengers, you know, it brought these guys together. But this movie brought them together, you know. But Pulp Fiction, the narrative, Pulp Fiction.
All right.
All right,
Pulp
Brandon.
Fiction going up
All
against the Infinity War, and it wins. Wow. Brandon, your next matchup is the 413 matchup.
Don't hurt me.
We have Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, considered one of the greatest Star Wars movies, going up against Good Will Hunting. Sanj.
Why do I have all the good movies on my list? Why do these matchups? Did you?
That's what Al
you-
said.
you-
That's what Sanj said.
You texted these guys and you told them to pick these. That's what happened. Oh man! Once again, it comes down to like, I love The Empire Strikes Back. I know Sean's shaking his head because he hates Star Wars, but Good Will Hunting. That narrative, that story, man, those characters.
Uh-huh.
That was lasting for me. That was everything. I'm touched. Like
Breathe for a second.
Ah, man.
Sanj, what
So,
did Good Will Hunting
As
do
Why you
far,
for
hate
you?
me?
as far as rules go, the only rule that is absolute is that there are exceptions to all rules, and I actually like The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And I really like Good Will Hunting as a movie.
But you guys have brought up the way that it changed cultures on some of these movies. You guys can't tell me Empire Strikes Back hasn't changed the culture. That Star Wars
I
movie.
mean, it literally just it made. I'm gonna call it nerd culture, but it just inspired it to go strong. Like it inspired that cosplay to be even bigger. It inspired so much. I would even go so far as to say that because of Empire Strikes Back, it made digital effects so just wanted that it made Jurassic Park happen.
Eventually down the line, right?
Yeah.
Al, Empire, Goodwill.
I would have to go with Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just
I'm gonna go with Empire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Empire Strikes Back goes up. That's crazy.
And one of the things that, as far as Star Wars goes, and I thought one of the good things that, as far as how they told the story, was that when Lucas told the middle three stories first, one of the things that generations beyond now will never get to experience is not knowing that Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Yeah, that's part
so
of
that
that.
reveal at the end of Empire, was a big deal when they're like, Luke, I'm your father.
Yeah. Now
And
it's
he's
part
like,
of our
You're like,
everyday
but
life.
now
Yeah.
if anyone goes to watch Star Wars, they're going to start with Episode 1, and he's Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
They're like, and then by the end of it, Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader, and so that part of the story has been taken away. And I thought that was a great stroke of storytelling to tell the middle of the story first, so that you didn't know,
Right.
and there really weren't any clues
None.
to it either.
Nope.
It wasn't like they were dropping hints at it.
Oh man. Let's see where we're going next here. We got the 6-11
There
matchup.
we go.
Silence of the Lambs going up against number 11, Reservoir Dogs.
Silence.
That was quick.
I love Silence of the
You
Lambs.
don't like Mr. Pink? Mr.
No,
White?
Oh, good. I like Reservoir Dogs, but I like Silence so much more.
No, Silent. Yeah, it's not in the same league.
I was a little too quiet over there. I think you might have touched a spot.
No, Reservoir Dogs is one of my. I like Reservoir Dogs a lot.
Yeah, it was good.
There's not a lot of action and everything, but just the dialogue kept it
Dialogue
going.
was
Yeah.
great, man. Your number 3-14 matchup, we got Ghostbusters. I'm gonna say Ghostbusters 1 because part 2 in there. So Ghostbusters going up against 007 Skyfall.
We're going the original Ghostbusters
Yeah,
versus Skyfall.
yeah,
I'm gonna go Ghostbusters.
yeah. Me too.
I genuinely love Skyfall.
Skyfall's really
It
good.
was really good, and
Yeah.
I will say it was probably since the Pierce Brosnan 007. It was probably my favorite one since
Mhm.
then because I wasn't, not that I wasn't feeling Daniel Craig, but the narrative on the movies afterwards just wasn't good.
Out of the recent 007 movies, this is my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. out
You
of
know,
all
Pierce Brosnan killed it, and then when you watched who was before? I'm sorry, I'm losing the name.
Before Pierce Brosnan, you
Yeah.
had
Daniel Craig? No,
No.
you had Roger Moore,
Yeah,
George Lazenby, and Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
No, wasn't there
Sean
another guy
Connery's
between?
007
They
was
were
like,
dead.
those are great movies.
George
Look,
Lazenby was
Octopus,
only
you know, that was great.
007 for one. There was Roger Moore. Timothy Dalton.
That's who I'm thinking. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did not like the Timothy Dalton.
Yeah. No.
And it's funny, I didn't think that Pierce Brosnan would do well because he kind of had a Timothy Dalton look about him.
Mm-hmm.
But then Pierce Brosnan did
You
well.
did pretty well.
You did really well, yeah.
Yeah.
But generally, the James Bond movies don't have much depth to them.
Yeah.
They're trying to do that now with the whole
The
Daniel Craig,
Skyfall
but, yeah,
movies, like I
Skyfall
like
was-
that they added backstory and gave depth to the doubles.
Yeah.
To James Bond.
Yeah.
You know, like you kind of understand him a little bit better.
See, my whole thing with Skyfall was that with the Daniel Craig series, it was a continuation. Each movie has been a continuation, and they've done that with the other James Bond, but these were direct continuations. So if you didn't like the ones beforehand, you're just like, oh, okay, we came off of this story. And so Skyfall really helped flip the story around to make it good, but I didn't like what happened before it. So the storytelling before it kind of like didn't help me get into Skyfall as much.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Move on to the next next matchup here. We got the 7-10 matchup. Back to the Future, going up against Aliens.
Oh, Aliens or Alien?
Well, with this one, Aliens to me, the second Alien was the best, which is Aliens.
Yeah.
But Back to the Future, you know what? I'll actually put numbers on these one. Back to the Future 1,
Okay.
the classic, going up
Mhm.
against Aliens 2. Well, Aliens is number
Aliens,
2.
yeah.
Yeah, because Alien was 1, Aliens
No,
was 2.
I'm actually going to completely agree with you. Aliens 2 was my favorite. That
Yeah.
that was awesome. Back to the Future, classic. You know, who doesn't love that movie?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm gonna put something that really hit me more, I would go Aliens 2, just because I like that movie. Like, kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, it's more
And
than
I
just a
saw
horror
that
movie.
when I was on the younger end, and I still loved it then. I rewatched that whenever it's on.
So you taking Aliens over Back to the Future?
Yep.
Wow.
I love Back to the Future 1.
You agreeing with that, or
Yeah.
really? You saw Aliens 2 and you're like,
Because, you know, Back to the Future was is the greatest fun campy movie, you know? But, like, Aliens 2 was, like, it's the suspense, it was the horror, it was the this. You know, it was labeled as a sci-fi movie. And, you know, you got all the suspense and horror, and you got this great narrative story. You know, Sigourney Weaver kills it every time as Ridley. So, like, I was like, Aliens 2, hands down.
all right. And then your last matchup, I'm gonna ask Sanjay's take on this one first, because I remember
Tell me
seeing
to start
I remember seeing these movies with
Don't tell
Sanjay.
me to start.
No, not on this one. Not on this one. The number 2, we have the Avengers going up against number 15, Iron Man. So you have the original versus the first time these guys are all together on one screen.
Can I just answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's the Avengers.
Oh yeah.
Because that collective scene that you knew it's in every commercial, but when you finally saw it in the movie theater of them panning around each other in that circle, I was like, this is real. This happened. This is here. I was like, I loved Iron Man for what it was, and I thought it was a great story. And Robert Downey Jr., from that moment on, you knew this was going to be a really good set of movies that were going to come from it. You know, but that Avengers, that collective, hands down.
I'm just saying, at the end of Avengers, after seeing Avengers, did you not want to go get shawarma?
I mean, the rise of shawarma. I looked up like, what is it? The rise of restaurants of shawarma, increased tremendously when Avengers came out.
That's insane, man. Let me see here. Let me get this back up here.
Am I done now? Because this is my sweat up a couple pounds already.
Oh my God! Hold up. I think I just got rid of Al's bracket over here.
Uh-oh.
Let's see here.
Oh,
I'm just trying to go back.
Control Z. Control Z.
You know what? I hit hide, and I'm gonna unhide now.
Okay.
There we go. There it is. So now it's my bracket, which is the South bracket, and we'll, in the just to make sure we're not going over too much time here, I'll go through the brackets, the matchups there, and I'll kind of tell you my take. And if there's anything that does, I think this really deserves a long discussion, then we'll definitely go over it. But my 116 matchup was the Dark Knight versus the Pirates of the Caribbean.
We know what you choose there.
And if you guys don't know what I'm going to choose, you guys don't know me then. So it's the Dark Knight. As much as the Pirates of the Caribbean, that first one was pretty cool. The rest of them were shit. So Dark Knight for me is definitely going to take it. In my 8-9 matchup, which has always been the tough one for all of us here, this one, I think I might need a little help on this one, man. It's going to be the number 8 is Toy Story, going up against number 9, Saving Private Ryan.
Toy Story.
Wow.
I had to go Toy Story.
Really? Saving Private Ryan was really, really good.
It was good. You know what's funny was we had watched Saving Private Ryan together for the first time at a neighbor's house, because we got coaxed into going over and looking at his new surround sound.
Who was that?
It was our neighbor George.
Oh,
George.
yes, the guy from...
He was a guy from our karate, and he worked at, I don't know if it was like a consultant for Best Buy or something like that. I forgot what it was, but he was always into the newest tech. Back when being into tech wasn't that cool, and so I remember I was hanging out with his son, and Javi was just so happened to be home, and I walked over. He's like, "Oh, tell your brother to come over, check out my surround sound system," and so as I brought Javi back over, he turned on Saving Private Ryan, and he made us sit down and watch the whole movie, and it was weird, but it was like watching the movie was really good. It was like, all right, not too bad out of this weird trip, but we got to watch a movie. That was awesome.
Al, is it easy for you too? Toy Story over Saving Private Ryan?
It's a close one, but I would go with Toy Story.
All right, yeah. To be honest with you, one of my favorite lines of all time is, "Ooh, the claw. You have been chosen. Let him go." So Toy Story for me over Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, that would have been my choice there. But I kept thinking of Saving Private Ryan more and more. But when I think about it now, yeah, Toy Story. Number 5, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Was that in another one?
No, we had Indiana Jones.
Yeah, no, it was Last Crusade.
Raiders of
We
the
had
Lost Ark.
Raiders. Okay. So mine is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade versus Mad Max Fury Road at number 12. And I got to be honest with you guys. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is one of my favorite movies. It's not top 3, but it's definitely up there because I did love
If you're putting it up against Fury Road, it's Indiana Jones.
I'll be real with you. Mad Max Fury Road really caught me off guard.
Okay.
And even though I have it at the number 12 seed, I really like Mad Max Fury Road. And I first of all, I thought I wasn't going to like it at all because I'm not into the music that it was in the movie. I didn't really remember Mad Max from when Mel Gibson used to do it. And that whole sand and everything, the way that it looked, I was like, this is not really my style. I watched it and I couldn't believe how good it was and how it had me in the movie with it. Even the rock and roll, the guitar, the guys, all the motorcycles and all the craziness, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. So to me, I'm gonna go with Mad Max Fury Road over the Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade.
Okay,
All right.
Wow.
all right.
And I'm telling you guys,
Upsets?
anyone who hasn't seen Mad Max Fury Road, you got to give it a shot because I know it looks a little crazy, but it's done so well there. My 4-13 matchup is going to be Inception versus Jaws. Even though Jaws is classic, the music is classic. nothing to me beats Inception. Inception is an absolutely crazy movie.
Just say this about
Concept.
Jaws. The shark barely showed up. Oh, they had people shook over just a fin.
A fin and some chords.
That's
It wasn't even a chord. It was 2 notes.
See, Jaws is one of those movies that has that cult following and just became so huge. Like, and it wasn't supposed to be anything good.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like Sharknado is today. But they keep making Sharknado movies, but they're so horrible.
It was 2018. They made the final Sharknado, and I forget the title, but it was like thankfully the last one. Like, you know, it was something obnoxious like that. It was so funny.
No, but Inception was a great movie.
Really was, and
that brought Joseph Gordon-Levitt back to the main screen. Really, like, you know, I think 500 Days of Summer came out afterwards. I'm not entirely sure, but you know, it was a long hiatus for him. When he came back on screen, I was like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I love the ending on that, where, you know, I know some people don't like to leave a theater wondering what's going to happen at the end because they want to see something from beginning to end.
Yeah.
But to me, the fact that it's up to your interpretation. Did you want that spin thing? What is it called?
The top. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His what was it called? His
It wasn't constant. That's Lost. I forget what it was. Like a token.
his token.
Token, yeah.
It was his token. That it was up to your interpretation whether it wobbled.
Yeah. Whether he was still in the dream or not.
Yeah, that was insane to me because at the end, then you can then discuss and have this conversation like, what do you think happened?
And I think someone had brought up in an interview with Christopher Nolan asking, like, listen, it's been 10 years, like, let us know. And he's like, no, I'm not telling you anything.
No, they did kind of answer it. They said it's based on his ring.
Oh, that's his real token.
No. They say every scene where it's an Inception scene, I think he's not wearing the ring or he is.
Oh,
And when it's real, it's the opposite. So whatever it is when he's in the Inception,
yeah.
and in the scene he's what I forget whether he is or isn't.
Mhm.
So it lets you know what they meant it
Right,
to be.
because isn't it in the movie they tell you you're not supposed to tell anyone what your token is.
Mm-hmm. Nobody's
No one's supposed to know what it is. So
No, but
that's-
the movie,
they can't
so the
fool
movie makers to let you kind of know that, like, if you go back and watch every
Yeah.
scene where he's in the Inception,
Mhm.
look for the wedding ring and whatever it is, it's the opposite.
All right. I'm definitely going to look that over. My 6-11 matchup is Spider-Man 2, considered one of the greatest comic book movies there. Going up against another great comic book movie, Logan.
Ooh.
Wolverine. Now, I did like Logan, but I'll be honest with you guys, I did not like it more than the Spider-Man 2 with Dr. Octopus. I thought the Spider-Man 2 movie, story, everything came together great. Logan was awesome, but I didn't think it was as good as Spider-Man 2.
Up until you found out how Professor X killed the X-Men.
Yes.
You're
Oh,
like,
God.
yo, my
Thank
man had
you.
a bad dream and that was it for the
So I'm like-
X-Men.
So what was because after Days of Future Past, I thought that was an incredible movie and whatnot.
Yeah.
They set the timeline right and everybody's happy and whatnot. And then you get Logan. So I'm like, what was it all for? He had a bad dream and killed everybody. What was it all for then?
I was all there until they got to that point. I'm like, that's it? I was like, that's what did the X-Men in? Your bad dream? I was like, oh my god. I was invested to find out, like, if it was
The
something
rest of the
worse,
story
you
was
know?
great. Like the rest of the Logan story was great, but the fact that that's what happened.
That's what killed everyone but Wolverine. Like, I was like, come on,
He's
man.
the only one that could take it. Oh, man. My number 314 matchup is the Captain America Winter Soldier going up against another good comic book movie, X-Men 2. Yeah,
I'll
Winter
give it to
Soldier.
the
I don't think that's a discussion.
Next.
Winter Soldier was just incredible, man. Let's see here. My 7-10 matchup. Forrest Gump versus Braveheart.
I love you, Jenny.
I'm going to say something that's going to upset all you guys. I've never seen Braveheart.
End the
Oh.
podcast now.
You said you're a
It's
real
over.
man?
It's over.
What?
Even I've seen
Unplug
Braveheart.
everything. Unplug it. Look,
I can't even lie. There was a time.
all the
where-
nonsense I heard about not seeing John Wick. And you haven't seen Braveheart?
I don't know what it has always talked about Braveheart. I know Sanj has always talked about Braveheart.
So good.
And I have yet to see this damn movie.
There was a time where I confused, because I saw Braveheart really young, where I confused Braveheart and Dragonheart as the same movie. And I was like, I watched Braveheart again. I'm like, when does the dragon come in? You know, like, I see the Scottish, but where's the dragon? And then I'm like, oh, but this movie's still really, really good.
So, I mean, for me, Forrest Gump, I liked the story. It was cool. I don't know anything about Braveheart, so
There's no wrong
as
decision to make
stupid
here.
is, as stupid don't. I'm gonna go with Forrest Gump
No,
on
between
this one.
if you're choosing between Forrest Gump and Braveheart, there's no wrong choice. Like there's so many. You can make a case for either one. because-
When I saw it on the top 100, I'm like, I have to put it in. I hope I don't get this bracket. And you three freaking chose.
Listen, you gave me the worst bracket to choose from, so.
And then my number 2 matchup versus number 15 is gonna be pretty easy, man. For me, at least, it's gonna be easy. I have the Gladiator going up against Predator. I am entertained. I'm going with Gladiator. Gladiator is easy. I'm not even gonna talk to y'all about this one. This is a Gladiator has to beat the Predator. As great as Arnold Schwarzenegger is, and all those wrestlers and bodybuilders were in that movie, and
The CIA have you pushing pencils? Dylan, you son of a bitch.
I love Predator, but I love me some Gladiator, man. That movie is incredible. So, and for the sake of time, we're gonna try to move these things along a little bit faster now because we've dwindled it down. So we're gonna go to now Sanjay, who's gonna be taking over my bracket.
Okay.
Sanj,
Yes.
I'm not gonna really talk to the guys unless they have something to say.
Okay.
You have The Dark Knight versus Toy Story.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight it is. I agree with you.
Touch on that.
I'm not gonna choose Toy Story over Batman.
Yeah. No.
Your
Love you, Woody.
Your next one is Mad Max Fury Road going up against Inception.
Inception.
Wow. Inception goes on. Spider-Man 2 versus The Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
Whoa. Winter Soldier. Moving on. Anybody against that? Yeah, me neither. As much as I love Spider-Man 2, that Winter Soldier. Forrest Gump.
It's back.
Life is like a box of chocolates. Going up against Gladiator.
Forrest Gump.
Ooh.
I'm going to talk about this now. You must be out your goddamn mind.
Storytelling.
Exactly. Are you kidding me? The Gladiator?
Gladiator. I mean, there's so many other movies like it.
Anyway, am I the only one who thinks this? Or
I mean, I'm on the fence, but
I mean, Gladiator is a good movie, but there's no other movie that you can point to and say that's like Forrest Gump.
no, definitely not. Definitely not. But
Like
that
300 is like Gladiator.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And
Yeah.
the look of it, what they're
The
doing.
look, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the way the people look,
Wow.
right?
Al, am I bugging?
because you want to
Oh
say
my
Gladiator
God, Al,
because
you're
of the fight.
thinking.
Because of all
Yeah.
the fighting. You want to say
Look,
Gladiator because of the
When you
action.
talk about like original storytelling, right? When every once in a while a movie comes along that the story is just so unique and so original and it has so many
Right,
things
because for
going-
what happened in Forrest Gump,
right.
you would think that I wouldn't be that excited or crazy about it, but I am, man. I just love it. I
Well, I
just
mean,
like
like-
it.
So a movie like that comes along once in a while, and then it's very similar to a movie. This type of storytelling, not the story itself, like
Yeah.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. This eclectic story that just comes together in such a way that I don't know.
Yeah. I got you. Hey, listen, it's your bracket to
Right,
make a choice, so you
okay.
made your choice. Al, for the sake of time, also, we're going to go through this pretty quick here.
All right.
We got The Shawshank Redemption going up against Rocky.
Shawshank.
Shawshank, it is. We got Jurassic Park going up against The Count of Monte Cristo. Wow.
Monte Cristo.
Oh,
Oh.
my!
Oh.
That's bold.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Die Hard going up against The Departed.
Die
It
Hard.
should be tough.
Die Hard.
Die Hard. Wow. And the last thing is Scarface going up against The Dark Knight Rises.
Ooh.
Scarface.
Yeah, man, it's a tough one, but I gotta go with you.
If,
I gotta
you know
tell
why? Because Dark Knight is still in there.
Yeah.
as much of the ooh that Jurassic Park got over the Count of Monte Cristo, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. That movie, oh, revenge, sweet, sweet revenge.
Mm-hmm.
B-Dog, you ready? That last bracket hurt your feelings.
Oh, it hurt hard.
You got The Godfather going up against Lion King.
Don Cole said, well, Maple I can't refuse.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go Lion King.
Oof. Okay.
Strictly on the watchable factor for me.
Uh-huh.
It took me almost to my 20s to watch Godfather. I watched Lion King over and over and over and over again.
Oh man, your next one is 7, going up against The Goodfellas.
7.
Wow, 7. Going to Fight Club against your beloved Harry Potter.
Ooh. We're still talking the series?
We're still talking the series.
Harry Potter.
Wow, okay, Harry Potter. And then you got The Usual Suspects going up against Schindler's List.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Damn,
Schindler's
Kaiser
List.
Soze got taken out.
And then I get to take over your old bracket, B.
Thank God.
So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 going up against the Black Panther.
Why does it seem easier now?
Yeah, Black Panther. That's an easy one. Black Panther takes that one. We got Pulp Fiction versus Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. God damn. Wow. Al, help me, man.
Pulp Fiction or Star Wars?
Empire
Empire.
Strikes Back.
Pulp. I would have to go Pulp.
I wanted to say Pulp. Yeah,
Go Pulp.
I really did want to go Pulp Fiction because of the way the story was told. And like I said, the second time I watched it, I'm like, I'm an idiot. The first time was awesome too. You just didn't understand, man. Then we have Silence of the Lambs versus Ghostbusters.
What?
Yeah. Silence of the Lambs was awesome, but it's Ghostbusters.
Whoa,
for me,
whoa,
man.
whoa.
I'm sorry. I love the first Ghostbusters, man. I grew up on that movie, man. That movie means so much to me, man. As much
It's
as
not a better movie than Silence of the Lambs, though. That's just, I mean,
I've watched Silence of the Lambs maybe 2-3 times.
this like how sinister Hannibal
I've
Lecter is
seen
without.
Ghostbusters. Yeah, probably 1,000 times. I probably put that movie on the background while I'm sleeping, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm just.
Alright, okay. Alright.
And if when you guys did Back to the Future versus Aliens, you guys chose Aliens, right?
Yes.
All right. So the Aliens versus Avengers, the first one. I'm going Avengers, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
much easier now.
right now, so much easier. All right, man. So right now, let's see here. You did Sanj, you did the my bracket before, right?
Right.
So Alex, it's on you now.
Oh.
You got the Dark Knight, the second Batman of the Nolan series,
Okay.
going up against Nolan's Inception.
Oh.
If you have
Dark
to choose
Knight.
between the two,
And
alright,
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Nolan's masterpieces.
And then your next matchup there is the Winter Soldier going up against Forrest Gump.
If y'all could only see his face right now.
He's just staring
No,
up at
no,
the
you know
screen
what?
now.
He's
No, 'cause
having
I-
a serious brain, like.
Because I want to say Forrest Gump, but
Yeah.
I was using the logic of like what you guys were just saying. Like I can watch one
Yeah.
almost any time you put it on. The other one, it's a great movie.
But again, that's why.
But
your
I'd get
bracket
bored
is-
of the
it's
first
your,
15, 20.
Your take on it, like, do you like it more? Do you think it's a better story? Yeah, we could watch. I could watch Infinity War over and over and over again, but it's not better than Dark Knight, or it's not better than.
Yeah, so then I'd have to go Forrest Gump.
I still would have chose Winter Soldier.
Nah, not over Forrest Gump.
Not
Yeah.
over Forrest Gump.
Oh man! So then the next one, Brandon. I feel like you're getting stuck with all the bad ones. It's
Yes.
Shawshank Redemption
Oh,
going up against the Count of Monte Cristo.
I'm gonna go Shawshank.
Yeah, as much as I love.
the County Monte Cristo gonna Shawshank you.
Come back for revenge.
And then your last pick here, Brandon, is Die Hard going up against the Scarface.
Pick right, Brandon.
We're sailing to a little friend soon. Oh man. I'm gonna have to go Scarface.
Yeah.
He chose well.
All right, so then I got Al's bracket. Because Al, Brandon, now it's mine. Yep. So I have The Lion King versus Seven.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
And
I think this is harder than what Brandon just had to do.
Yeah, man. Listen, I told you guys, Seven is one of my favorite all-time movie. That is my number one. I am choosing Seven
Okay.
over that Lion King movie. I really do love Seven, man. And then I have Harry Potter versus Schindler's List. And listen, Harry Potter would have been struck down early for me, so it's definitely going to be Schindler's List.
Okay.
Okay, I see it.
Mind you, I saw Schindler's List just once, but again, the
But the-
story itself is
that's-
deep and
yeah.
it was amazing.
Yeah.
Sanj, you get the last bracket in this round.
Okay.
Your matchup right now is Black Panther versus the Pulp Fiction.
Black Panther.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a tough one. You made it seem very easy.
I just put it in context of what I'm choosing between. Like,
Now you're choosing between the Ghostbusters and the Avengers.
all the Avengers.
All right. Woo! The Elite Eight.
Ooh!
We're up to the Elite Eight.
So wait, we have our brackets back then?
Yeah. Yeah. I went 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
So we have our brackets.
So I get back now what's left of my bracket, which is
Well,
the
no.
South bracket.
Okay. All right.
So I have the Dark Knight going up against Forrest Gump. Yeah, for me in the South, we're going with the Dark Knight.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Once you got that, it was over.
Yeah, I would have chose the same way. As much as I
Dark
love
Knight
it,
is
yeah.
in my final four. Sanj, you're left with your Shawshank Redemption going up against Scarface.
Wow. Y'all really did that to me? Y'all really did that to me? Wow. Because y'all know Scarface is one of my favorite all time. But if I'm choosing between Scarface and Shawshank Redemption, it's Shawshank Redemption.
Wow, Shawshank Redemption.
Regardless of personal bias. Yeah.
Al, we're going back to your bracket, Al.
All
You
right.
got 7 going up against Schindler's List.
Schindler's
I'll pay
List.
you to take out 7. No, I'm just kidding.
I can't believe Schindler's List lasted this long. I mean,
Yeah.
Are you
listen,
kidding?
fantastic
Surprised.
movie, but I cannot watch that more than once because it's so deep.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why.
Well, yeah.
Think about that's why you
It's
Yeah,
here,
it's
yeah.
such a great movie, because if it wasn't, we know about the subject matter, right?
Of course.
But if the movie wasn't done as well as it was, it wouldn't be something that any of us would ever talk about. It really hits you, like
Yeah.
when you see it, and it really takes you there, like, and you can't handle it all the time like
Yeah.
that. It's not something you could just handle.
No. And that's probably why we only watch it once.
Exactly.
It's just experience the heartache. Brandon, your last matchup here in your Old West bracket. You're left with Black Panther going up against the Avengers.
Come on, man. We're gonna spend half an hour right here. All right. When it comes to the Avengers, it's everyone in. Black Panther.
Before you answer,
Yeah,
can I pose a question to you?
sure.
Or give you a way to contemplate it, right? If Black Panther had to stand on its own as a movie with no other attachment, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would it do? And if Avengers was a movie just standing on its own, right? With no other connection to anything, right? Maybe
Yeah.
that's a way to contemplate. since they're movies that are intertwined, right?
Yeah.
Like think of Black Panther story and then think of Avengers story.
I honestly, it's so tough because both those movies mean so much to me in terms of what they both did. You know, I'm gonna have to put a personal bias on this one, and I'm gonna have to go Black Panther.
My dude,
Wow.
my dude,
And-
coming through the clutch.
It's just what that movie did personally for me.
Oh gosh, I have to do it. All right, so we have the winner of the North being Shawshank Redemption. The winner of the South is Dark Knight. Winner of the West is the Black Panther, and Schindler's List is the winner on the East side.
What was the winner for the North again?
North is going to be Shawshank Redemption, which
Okay.
was Sanja's.
Wow. All right. So a number one seed actually made it.
Number one seed actually made it. Actually, The Dark Knight was a number one seed. Schindler's List was a number two seed, and the let's see here, what's the other one there? Schindler's List was 2, and Black Panther was a number 8 seed.
Okay.
All right, so our final
All right,
four:
Duke.
North versus South. That's me versus Sanj. Sanj had Shawshank Redemption. I have The Dark Knight. On the East versus West, Brandon has the Black Panther. Al has Schindler's List. So against me and Sanj with the Dark Knight, I'm just gonna say I just really think that my movie is just a better movie than Shawshank Redemption because of what it did for comic book movies. One, what it did for Batman, what it changed how comic book movies see themselves. They make them more realistic, a little more serious. They are taken seriously now. That movie is amazing. When the turn on who the Joker was killing, Joker's plan, Joker's pretending like he don't have a plan, but he has a plan. The Two-Face turn, everything about that movie from beginning to end was just incredible. The way they started the movie, the way they ended the movie. It's just a fantastic overall movie. I will choose my Dark Knight over that movie, over Shawshank Redemption. As much as I love Shawshank, I would choose Dark Knight. Sanj.
There are movies that I will argue for when going up, against The Dark Knight because, my bias for Batman. There are a lot of there's some movies that I will argue for and really make a very convincing argument against The Dark Knight. Shawshank Redemption ain't one of them. if it has to go up against The Dark Knight, I'm not even gonna argue in favor of Shawshank. Great movie, Shawshank Redemption, but you made it to the final four, and this is where you fall.
Dark Knight moves into the final. B-Dog, your Black Panther going up against Al Schindler's List.
I would go Black Panther.
Whoa, before you go.
I thought about it.
No, I understand you thought about it, but I just want to comment on the fact that I understand what B's talking about when he's saying, what the movie means.
Yeah.
You're talking about from a cultural, especially racial point of view.
Mhm.
All of us here are men of color. And dealing with the subject matter of what Schindler's List is, it's very interesting that these two movies would
Show
come
them
down
here.
to each other.
Yeah.
And to have to choose between those two movies where Schindler's List is a lot darker, a lot more heavy. And of course it's historical, it's a historical
Yes.
picture. We're talking about
It's that timepiece.
you're talking about something that is, history, is reality, is, versus a work of fiction that takes themes from reality and goes into everything. One of the things that I liked about Black Panther a lot, and we spoke about this, Havik, when I saw it, and then we didn't see together,
No.
and then after I saw Black Panther, we talked about it, and I said one of the things I really liked about Black Panther was that it was so inclusive and it had something for everyone. So for me, being of East Asian descent, right, and coming from a family that is Hindu, right, so Black Panther was hailed as a movie for people of African descent, right? But it had something in there for everything. So when when the hill tribe comes down, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say praise to Lord Hanuman, right? And for those that don't know, Lord Hanuman is the monk, and because they worship the monkey gods, the hill tribes in Black Panther. And Hanuman in Hinduism is the monkey god, right? And he's the greatest warrior. And in Hinduism, Lord Ram is the Christ figure or whatever. He's the figure, and Lord Hanuman is his greatest ally, his greatest warrior, right? And so for me, and look, I'm not very religious or anything like that, but when they came down and he said praise to Lord Hanuman, just the fact that was in there,
It was sad.
it really was. It made me proud, and I really felt good about it. That they brought together so many cultures, so many things, and so many themes that are from reality in a fiction story, and then for it to be going up against Schindler's List and dealing with the Holocaust and that dark period in our history.
So I mean, I went straight for Black Panther, but I'll give you my reasoning. When I watched Schindler's List, I was really young when that came out. I mean, that's a theme that I've been saying, but a lot of these movies, I'm 27, so Schindler's List came out when I was about 11, I believe. And I remember watching it when it came out on DVD, and I remember crying.
Yeah.
Halfway into the movie.
That's one of the reasons why I refused to watch it again.
It's hard.
And then I remember I didn't understand at 11. You don't understand emotional weight, and I didn't understand emotional weight, and I remember having to get up and go do something. I had the movie paused for a while, and I got up and I had to go do something because I just couldn't handle
what you were watching.
What I was watching, and knowing it was a movie, I watched Pearl Harbor, and when the guy died, I was like bawling like a baby because it hit me because it was a good storytelling. But I remember I had to get up, and I came back like a good maybe 45 minutes later. I sat down, continued. 20 minutes later, crying again, and I remember just crying throughout the entire movie, and just the emotional weight of it was the narrative. It was
just knowing what they were doing to children.
We're doing to people. Period.
So I love that movie for everything it meant, that timepiece that it is. And then I already said Black Panther in terms of what that meant to me. As a musician, Black Panther came out for me at a point when I'm also a music teacher, so I was actually planning my spring concert music, and I had already chosen to do a piece from The Lion King, from a song called Endless Night, and it's really touching, but it takes on a lot of African-based melodies and rhythms, and with the school I worked in wasn't really about, not that they didn't support it, I don't want to get political, but it wasn't really something that was interesting.
It's not on their radar.
Yeah, it wasn't really on their radar. They would maybe enjoy it, but it wasn't until Black Panther came out that I knew that song was going to be so much more important and relative to everything. And then when we did that song, we got a standing ovation because the kids felt it, because they understood the cultural relevance of it, thanks to Black Panther. Because the Lion King is a West African based story, and a whole bunch of West African influence. So just mentioning the word Africa, made people think about it more because of Black Panther, and they knew what it did. And my principal, who was heavy into, he actually took our school to go see Black Panther in the theaters. It was a field trip for our school because of the cultural relevance of it. And, he came in a standing ovation, came and gave me like a dap and a pound after our song ended, just because he knew that was going to mean so much to our school and to the community of Riverhead. And so, I have to give it to Black Panther.
Wow. Ow. You got anything to say for your Schindler's List now?
Whoa.
No.
Whoa.
Well, what I would say about
No,
Take
no,
anything
no,
away
no.
from Schindler's
Yeah,
List.
Schindler's List is amazing, absolutely amazing. But Brandon's about to make me cry with his speech just now.
It was a good speech.
Yeah.
man.
No, in terms of the two movies, what I would say is when you're working with, and we've already described it, a piece of fiction, which is what Black Panther I should say. It's easy to touch on things and develop a story because you're guiding the story.
Right.
So you can touch on everything you want to based on what you're trying to do with the story. Whereas with Schindler's List, it's tough to sometimes take a piece of history and fact and tell it in a compelling way that draws on people's emotions, exposes what was happening, so that people that may not know this is to the extent of what was happening here. You may not have been told it because people were trying to gloss over it, because in history books sometimes they don't tell you the full story because they think it's too sensitive for you, so they water it down. So they're showing you the full breadth of what was happening, who it was happening to. It's sometimes hard to do that without being heavy-handed or telling too little or too much, or why didn't you do it this way, or why didn't you do it that way?
Right.
It's very easily critiqued because there's actual stuff to base it on. So it's not like where you can say, well, that was my story, so I told it this way. No, this was an event, and you're retelling it, and you're doing it in a dramatic way, so you're almost implying that this is what happened. And to do it in a way where people can say, wow, and understand. So to me, it's for that reason I would think you can't put a piece of fiction, as great as it was, over a very compelling and strong story about a factual event where people can say, wow,
Damn, you two just swayed me back and forth on these two movies, man. Let me. So Brand, no matter what, Black Panther.
Black Panther.
Al, no matter what, Schindler's List for you.
Yeah, between those two, yeah.
Sanj.
I'm glad I don't have to choose.
Since this is a tie with them two, and
So I'm gonna recuse myself because we can't have a tie. So based on what I say, we might end up in a tie again. So I'm gonna abstain and.
woo! So it's on me. I'm gonna be real with you guys, man. With Black Panther, yeah, as much as I loved it and much that I really enjoyed myself watching that movie, something that Al just said just really hit me in the heart, and it means more to me that Schindler's List is really based off of something that happened in real life. It shined a light where maybe people didn't know, weren't aware, and like Sanj said before, what they did to children, what I said was they did to people. Listen, without that movie, you'd have to definitely dive deep, read a lot to know everything. But that movie put it out there in 2 hours. Was it 2 hours or 3 hours long? That movie?
It was over 2 hours.
It was over 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was a long movie. And it definitely shined a light on it. I actually read up more because of that movie. And again, it's up there as one of the best movies out there. And I've only seen it once because I refuse to go through it again. I'm going to choose Schindler's List on that.
Wakanda forever.
So our final two movies for the Real Fan Review, March Madness movie brackets. We have The Dark Knight going up against Schindler's List. And I feel so stupid because I just made that speech about Schindler's List and I would choose Dark Knight. Because of the fact that I don't want to be sad.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think if it came down to The Dark Knight and Schindler's List, The Dark Knight can't beat Schindler's List.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So that's a weird situation here that we're in. Right?
So far we got one Dark Knight, one Schindler's List.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It's deep. And look, the reason why I choose The Dark Knight over Schindler's List,
So wait,
especially after all I said.
Wait.
Yeah,
hold
go
on.
for it. Go for it.
So what? They made it to the finals again?
The final four was Shawshank Redemption versus Dark Knight.
Right.
Dark Knight won. Schindler's List versus Black Panther. Schindler's List won.
Okay, all right.
So this is the championship.
Okay, all right, yeah.
This is for the trophy.
No, because I thought for some reason it was Brandon's choice. So I missed that part.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
So between Dark Knight and Schindler's List, like, great. Batman's a great story.
Yeah.
But Al, I don't think Al put it best. Schindler's List is real.
Yeah.
And it was done right.
Mm-hmm.
Schindler's List.
I hear you, man. Like I said, I'm basing it off of just my own personal, love to keep watching. Something that I'm going to show both these movies to my son, but I'm going to show Dark Knight a lot earlier.
You have two sons.
My sons. For some reason, I'm still just Noah a lot, and I'm like, that's right. I have a baby boy that's 10 months old. I Elijah. Elijah, gotta remember Elijah too.
Dang, I hope he doesn't hear this podcast.
Daddy, you forgot about me. When Elijah starts talking more, it'll be more, more stuff. Right now, it's just pick him up, feed him.
It takes a few years
Yeah.
to get used to that second one actually being there.
It's insane. You'll see. Yeah, Schindler's List. I need my son to see sons to see that movie, Schindler's List. But I want them to be old enough to understand and mature enough to understand what they're watching.
Mm-hmm.
But Dark Knight, fun time, good movie, amazing.
Yeah, you watch The Dark Knight. I mean, that's
Yeah.
entertainment. At the end of the day, it's still entertainment.
And that's what it
Schindler's
is for
List
me.
not-
I think
not
Schindler's List is just a little
entertainment.
too real for me, man.
It's something
and
that we need
it's
to
crazy.
be reminded of all the time,
Yeah.
that this happened, and we need to make sure it doesn't happen again.
I gotta say, I'm really freaking proud and like of the movies that we all chose that Schindler's List is up there. It's just like crazy to me. I never thought it had a chance at number 2.
I thought it was gonna end up being Shawshank.
Yeah, I'm
Really?
really surprised.
I thought
Schindler's
Shawshank
List
was
is
gonna
up
get
there. This
there.
is
I am-
for me, man. But
Incredibly surprised that Green Mile didn't make this list at all.
Wow.
I know, man.
That's
when
right.
you said it, and mind you, it's on one of my lists for top 100 movies.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason,
Because Green Mile is usually number 2, like everywhere.
Oh man. Al, Dark Knight, Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2. Brandon.
You gonna do this to me? You be the tiebreaker here? Oh man.
The time maker, or
Well, you could be the tiebreaker or
Yeah.
tie maker. 'cause
Yeah.
I mean,
And just be honest. I mean,
no.
yeah.
I mean, in the real value of this is such a weird final 2 in the sense that you have great entertainment versus the real that movie was, Schindler's List. It's like it was like watching a documentary portrayed and acted out. Just
Yeah.
and that was like. That's the hard thing about that one. So like these 2 are so weird because if you want to pick on the basis of entertainment alone, I will always go Dark Knight because of the entertainment value of it. If I wanted to go for a movie that moved me, I would go Schindler's List. So this is tough because in the basis of what we're gonna go for, I'm a little drawn into what I'm gonna go for here.
Speak to your heart, man. Which one?
I mean, if I, oh god,
It's your choice.
Why do I get this? I got the ball with 7 seconds left on the clock. I mean, I can't make this an all-night thing, but if I'm gonna go for greatest movie that I will rewatch, I'm gonna go Dark Knight.
Wow, we have a tie.
And I'm okay with it coming out in a
Yeah.
tie between
Yeah,
given,
a tie.
given what it is. I don't think we need to debate.
Yeah, they're
These
both
two,
great, man.
yeah.
I mean, in the end, we don't have to really have the number 1 out of it because, to be honest with you, all
Unless our
60
fans want to vote.
Yeah, I mean, if our fans are listening, you see that we're stuck here. And to be real with you, the only reason I'm choosing Dark Knight and sticking with that Dark Knight call again is because just the entertainment value and Schindler's List is real, man. It's a real movie. And we're going to leave it up to our fans to break the tie.
Ooh.
So if you're listening to this podcast anywhere,
And you make it through this 2-hour mark that we're at.
oh, we're definitely going to edit out a lot. We're going to edit out maybe some of the stuff from the beginning. But you can reach us on Twitter at real REEL _fan FAN. So real fan it's at real fan with the underscore between real and fan in Twitter. On Facebook, the Real Fan Review. On Instagram, the Real Fan Review. We need your help because we can't choose between these 2 movies. To be honest, I don't really want to choose between the 2, but I made my choice. We all made our choices here. And we'd love to see the fans out there just break this tie for us. So we're going to end the podcast right here. We're probably going to discuss this a little more later. But it's your choice out there. It's The Dark Knight versus Schindler's List. And we're so glad that you guys joined us and listened to this podcast. And you've been with us with the Real Fan Review.